Today I'm going to show you that anybody can build an AI app and sell it within a single afternoon. This business costs almost nothing to start, and you don't need to have any experience with coding or business to start this. I've made well over $1 million through various businesses I've built from my laptop at the age of 26. So today you're going to see me build an entire application, go through my thought process and how I came up with the idea, why it's something I think people will pay for, and then you'll watch me build everything out start to finish and get my first customer. Okay, so now I want to quickly cover what we're going to go through in this video. Firstly, I'm going to explain the idea for the actual AI sort of app business that I'm going to start and why I chose that idea, because most people who make these videos about AI apps, from my experience, don't typically actually have a good reason for making something. They usually make these tools. There are a million new AI apps out there, and most people are just making tools that don't actually do anything. So I want to show you why this is worth money and why I think it's actually going to make sales. Then I'm going to explain the opportunity for you. So with the second step, we're going to just build the app in Lovable. So it's actually my first time building an app in Lovable, and I built it for myself. I use this tool every day. Then we're going to connect a custom domain. So I'll show you how to pick a good domain name that most people don't really just know how to pick the right one. I've seen so many people start a business and they pick the most horrible, long, not catchy domain. So I'll show you how to do that. Then I'll show you how to set up the boring stuff like Stripe payments, authentication, all this sort of boring stuff that needs to be done. Then we'll test the entire sort of, we're going to build an entire website for the app as well, so that we can, I'll show you how to like write your website so that you make people want to actually buy your app. Because again, most people just outsource everything to ChatGPT and then it doesn't actually sell their product, or it doesn't really focus on what the customer wants or cares about. So I have like 5 or 6 years of experience with copywriting. I've made like a lot of money with it. So this is probably the thing I'm the best at in the world. So that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I built the entire website, landing page, everything. Okay. And then we're going to put the website live. Everything's going to be tested and we're going to make sure it works before we sell it to people. And then I'm going to show you that I've already actually filmed and posted a YouTube video that's going to promote this app. So I'm going to show you how to sell the app to other people if you don't have a YouTube channel like mine, because I've basically already promoted it with my existing following. But there are loads of ways to promote an app if you build it, regardless of if you have 0 followers or 100,000. So finally, we're going to show you the results. So how much it cost to build, and how much I made, etc., etc. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so first thing I want to talk to you about is the idea. So how do you actually come up with an app idea or a business idea that you think is going to make money? Because even though I'm going to show you one, like I'm going to show you the exact app I build, how I build absolutely everything, there's no point in you just trying to copy this app because everyone else is going to do it. And to be honest, there are already existing versions of this app out there. I just want to show you this as I know for a fact it will make money. But how do you actually, what's the thought process behind coming up with an idea for an app that people will use? So firstly, you have to validate every idea you choose in business. And this goes for whether you're making content for people on YouTube, or whether you're building an app, or whether you're going to deliver a service, you know, become a consultant, whatever you're going to sell, you need to validate it first. What does that mean? This basically means we have to make sure that this is going to make money before we spend all of our time and energy on it. And this is something I learned over the years, because when I first started in business, I would basically start any business that I thought, you know, oh, I'd like to do dropshipping, I'd like to do this or that. And then I'd just come up with an idea and think, yeah, I suppose that would work. But I would never actually validate to make sure that, hey, this is going to be worth your time. Because I just didn't really value my time as a beginner at the start. So right now, anytime I get into anything in business, I have to validate it before. So to validate it, I want to make sure that this thing is relevant right now. So people are going to pay for this. A lot of people will take an idea from like 10 years ago or a year ago that they maybe see in a YouTube video or an article, and then they think they can replicate the success of that thing because, oh, I can build this, so it will make me money. But that's not the case. Because most things, just like most technologies, like if you were to start an AI business now, right? If you were to release your own version of ChatGPT, if you did that like 10 years ago when there's no AI models out there, you're going to take over the world. Like if you built the first ChatGPT, of course you're going to do very well. But if you did that right now, because there's so many other unbelievable models out there, you don't need to, like, you're not going to make any money. So we have to make sure that it's relevant. And the tool I'm going to show you is relevant right now, because I have a video consulting business and I speak to some of my clients, and in the app that we're going to build today, it's going to be based around how to help YouTubers make better thumbnails. And it's going to be a one-click service where you can just take a thumbnail that you'd like to have on your channel and then add a picture of your face, and then it will replicate that thumbnail with your face. Perfect, unbelievable quality. I will show you how it works as well. But this is relevant right now because I have a client who is actively paying like $150 per video for thumbnails that someone designs for him. So we need to make sure it's relevant. So in this one, we've definitely already validated that. Someone in our exact position is making money with it. So this is something like when I was a complete noob in online business, I'd never made any money. I didn't realize that, like, okay, just because someone with like 100,000 followers like does an idea or comes out with something doesn't mean I can also do it. It's kind of, as I've said, like, you have to make sure that if you're going to replicate something because you think it's going to be successful, like most people are aware of, just most people do try and copy businesses when they start out, but they try and copy something that they can't keep up with. So if I tried to copy Alex Hormozi and give out like broad business advice on YouTube and sell books and all that shit, it's never going to happen as a one-man team. I would have to build an entire, you know, organization around making sure that my content goes out 100 times a day across all platforms. The quality's there. You know, I'd have to spend 10 years in business to actually gather all this knowledge and loads and loads of social proof. So his sort of barrier to entry for competing with Alex Hormozi is very, very high. And so that we need to find somewhere where the barrier to entry to building an app is quite low. And luckily with these AI tools, you can build these things now very quickly. So we can also distribute it easily. We need to make sure that this is a tool that is very simple. And like I've also written easy to demo. We need to make sure that our tool is visually easy to see what the result is. So I genuinely see people on YouTube teaching you how to use AI and build AI apps that haven't got a fucking clue how to do it. Because they'll build some app that, like, I'm not even picking anyone in particular here, but it's really frustrating because if you're a beginner, like, you kind of hang off everyone's word on YouTube, and you want to make sure that like the person telling you what to do actually knows what they're talking about. So like a lot of people will build an app and it'll be like, yeah, it has this feature and all this bullshit back end stuff. And a business owner looks at that and is like, how does it make me money? How does it make me money, or how does it save me time? Most of these guys haven't got a clue because none of their apps actually save you time or make you money. It is literally just a fancy wrapper around something you can already do on your Google Chrome. Then, you know, they just put a fancy wrapper around it. Like, let's say I want to search by them. We've built an app that makes finding the most popular videos on a channel easy. And it presents it in this nice way, blah, blah, blah. In reality, like, YouTube already does that with a single button. It says sort by most popular. But I've literally seen people talking about this as if it's like a revolutionary thing. So a lot of people also will make their product where it's not easy to demonstrate quickly. So the reason it needs to be easy to demonstrate is if you're pitching this to a lot of people, whether it's in the DMs or you're making content to promote your app, they need to instantly see why they should give a shit about it. Because most people, like, you wouldn't believe the amount of Instagram DMs I get pitching me stuff. And this is like every single business owner, especially like personal brands and stuff like that. They get pitched all the time. And so most of them don't actually show you immediately, like, what is the thing you're offering and what's the quality of it? Is it good? Is it like, are you worth my time? Most people are like, hey, I can send a thumbnail over if you want. And it's like, I don't really care. Like, you send me the thumbnail or don't, but like, I need to see that it's good if I even want to give you time. But if you tell me you're going to send me it and then I have to reply to you, I'm probably not going to do that, to be honest. So with an app, we're going to send, like, if we're going to sell that to people, we pretty much want to make sure that in like 10 seconds, we can show them what the app does. And this app absolutely fits that criteria. So that's the idea. That's why I've come up with it. So this idea specifically is going to be a thumbnail recreation tool. Some thumbnail recreator, because a lot of people can't make thumbnails on YouTube. And as you'll see when I build the app, this app makes that very, very easy. Okay. So most people on YouTube, if you don't know, actually don't really come up with original ideas. And most people are running YouTube channels for their business, right? Which is fine. So for you to put out a YouTube video, again, the same way you have to validate like a business idea, you also have to validate your idea for your video. So if I'm going to make a video, like even this video here, it's called like Watch Me Build and Sell a Service. I'm making this video because I saw someone else do this video and clearly it got a lot of views, which tells me a lot of people care about this thing. So if I made a video that I just thought would be interesting, the chances are nobody's going to care about it because I've just come up with a random idea. Whereas if I find something people have already clicked on before and I make a new version of it and I make it different to, what they did, I'm now doing something that people clearly want, but in my own style. And so this is the same with thumbnails. People recreate thumbnails all the time. Mr. Beast steals thumbnails all the time. So this tool basically just allows you to speed up the process, because back in the day, you would have to go onto a thumbnail, you'd have to screenshot it or download it or whatever, and then you'd have to try and design the entire thing yourself, just like theirs, to replicate it. But with this tool I've built, again, you can just do this in one click. So that's the idea. You're going to see the actual tool in action next, because I'm going to show you how to build it in Lovable. Okay, so the next step in our process is to go to lovable.dev, and this is basically a website or a tool that allows you to build your own little apps simply by speaking to it as if it was ChatGPT, okay? And you can also do this with Claude Code and loads of other tools. I just personally liked Lovable because it was the easiest one for me to use. So if we go in here and we go to pricing, this is probably the cheapest way you can build a tool like this. So it's 25 euros per month, and you can get 100 credits per month, well, more than enough. And this will basically allow you to build your own website and build your own app and then host it live as well. And it's all included in this price. You can start for free to make sure that you understand how it works. You try it out, you see that you can build your own app, whatever your idea is. They'll give you like 5 credits a day, and you can just max out like a couple of different email accounts or whatever. If you want to build a couple of ideas and see like how they look, you can do that for free completely. But whenever you want to start selling it, it's 25 euros a month, and this is literally the highest cost of the business. The next cost is just buying a domain name. So this is how you do it. That's the cheapest pricing. That's what I recommend. Now, this is the tool. So it's called ThumbBuddy. I've just basically made a simple version of it, and this is all it does. I want to be able to go in and choose a thumbnail that I like. So I like this thumbnail, and I'm able to click to upload a photo, or I upload a link, and then I upload a picture of my face, and it will replace the face in the thumbnail with mine. So if we just generate this, it also gives you the option to choose which model you want to use to generate the image. I've just set it to this. Gemini Flash is the best one. And you can add custom prompts. So if I wanted to change something like the text, I could easily change it, and I'll show you how that works in a second. Or I could change anything else that I want about the image, and it will instantly do that for me. So let's just wait a second, see what the result is here, and yeah. Okay, so here's the finished result. So this is the picture of me. Now, I'm going to be honest, I obviously know how I look. I don't think it looks as close to me, but I think this will pass. I don't think people would notice or care. And so if I wanted to quickly change this copy me, let's say I wanted to say, steal this idea instead of copy me text, I can now tweak it once it's already done, and it's going to change the output to whatever I want. And then I can just, with one click, just download the thumbnail and upload it to my YouTube video. So let's hopefully see this work. Okay, the hand's a little bit tan. It's funny when you look at it, like it's not perfect, but like nobody is going to notice on a YouTube video. Okay, sweet. Look how quick that is. For me to have done that in Photoshop, by the way, would have been such a task. Like, you'd have to go on YouTube, you'd have to watch through some bullshit tutorial about how to do it, and then you have to try and do it, mess it up, you do it again. And now it's just like all of this is done with simple text like chatbots. So that's basically the app. It's so simple. I built this because I was paying for thumbnails myself, and I was designing them, and I wasn't very good. And so if you want the prompt to recreate this is pretty much it. It's likely that at some point the app might not work or whatever, but you can literally just click a button and it will fix. So it'll have little things here, like if an issue comes up, you just literally write fix this, or it'll come up with a little pop-up in the bottom corner that says, okay, we ran into an issue, click fix, and then it literally just fixes it. And if you're really struggling with it, you just speak to it. It's so easy. It will make it easy for you. Now, there are some constraints. Sometimes you can't get something to work because simply whether it's just not physically possible to do that thing yet. Like, let's say you're trying to scrape information from a website like YouTube, but maybe YouTube doesn't allow companies to access some part of their data or something like that. Like, it's not going to tell you, let's say, if I wanted to figure out how much money another channel was making, it's obviously not going to be able to do that research, but there are loads of things that it can do. So if you ever run into those issues, you can also just screenshot it and then paste the screenshot into Claude and go, what's going on here? I don't understand why. Give me some reasons why this isn't working. Do you think I should try and troubleshoot this and fix this? So that's it. Really, really simple. Okay, so the next section, I'm going to show you how to basically buy a simple domain name and how to brand your product so that it's easily understandable for anyone who reads what the name of the product is, to understand like what your product is about, or just to give it a catchy name, because most people name their product really badly. So most people call things like a really long name that doesn't roll off the tongue, or they call it something stupid sounding, or something that sounds like a 12-year-old made it. And I just want to show you how I name a business, or how I come up with an idea, and yeah, my reasoning behind that. So it's my first time, by the way, doing these kind of like long live streams. So you're going to see me like switching between my screen recorder and shit like that, but shouldn't be a big issue. So let's go to Claude. Now I've already written, like I've basically spoken out. So this is the thumbnail or the sort of domain name I've decided on. But I basically just said, hey, I've got a thumbnail recreation tool that I want to sell. It's basically an application, and I want to name it something slightly cheeky or funny related to stealing a thumbnail, because essentially we're just stealing thumbnails here for recreating thumbnails, but like everyone does this. It's a totally normal practice on YouTube. So I think it's funny to call it something like thumbswipe.com, because you're just swiping someone's thumbnail. So even something like Robinhood, I was just coming up with random ideas here, to be honest, and you know, just give me ones that are under $10. So this is a pro tip as well. Don't buy a .ai domain, because most people who are starting to build their first little AI apps, a bit of knowledge I can give you, you want to put as little time and effort in at the beginning to committing to things, because you need to first validate, and you need to basically make money as quickly as possible with any new business or idea that you have. So what I mean is, like, you don't want to go and say, okay, I'm going to get the best domain, I'm going to spend this much money, I'm going to come out and make sure that everything's perfect at the beginning, because nobody might want your app. And if you're like, okay, if you're like Michael Jordan and you're launching a clothing line that you know people are going to buy either way, then you can spend a bit of money on the brand and the website and all that shit. But if you're a complete noob and you're making a website, or you're trying to build a business, you need to spend as little money as possible, because the chances are you're not very good at what you do, which is fine. But you don't want to assign money, you don't want to spend a lot of money on an idea that might be shit. So you basically just want to come up with a good, like, try and come up with a good idea using Claude. It'll give you loads of different variations. I actually saw this one, and this is the one I decided, like, okay, thumbswipe.com. Let's go see if that's available. Now, you can also actually check, see, I'll actually show you something. So let's just go straight in here. So I've gone on to GoDaddy, and you can basically search it here. So a lot of people, what they would do in these AI videos that frustrates the shit out of me, is they would be like, oh, I'm gonna get Claude to search, you know, GoDaddy for me, or I'm gonna use this tool, or I'm gonna, you know, save a lot of time. And then it doesn't save any time. You can just literally search the thing. It's just as quick to search it yourself. Okay, so it's very clear we're not going to use thumbswipe.com. I don't think the idea is good enough to warrant £11,000. So let's see what other ones we have. So I think .co might be fine. Let's see what they have. Okay, literally a penny. So we can get a penny. Okay, first year for a 3-year term. So they got all the little shitty deals going on where they're going to charge you like for 3 years. But we can find a cheap domain. That's not a problem. Thumbswipe.co is what I really like. You can also go for like .so domains. I think they look pretty cool. Obviously .io as well is a cool one, but they're typically like more expensive. And this one, it's actually quite cheap. But I think .co is probably the best, because, you know, like, just clean and simple. It's basically .com without the M. So thumbswipe.com, I think that's the way to go. We could even probably design a little app logo with AI, and then we're going to obviously build the entire thing, the website, with either Claude Code or Lovable. I haven't decided yet, but we've got a name, brand name for the business, and our domain name as well. So I'm going to go off and buy this. There's no point me like screen recording showing you me buying a domain, because I think we all know how to purchase things online. And then I'll skip into the next part. Okay, so I'm about to buy the domain. Obviously it says 1 penny, but they actually were going to charge me like £85 or something like that. So it's not really a good deal. Just click 1 year. You don't need this domain protection bullshit. They'll try and sell you all this stuff. You literally don't need it. You don't need to fill out any of their stuff or build a website with them. So I'm just going to buy this domain, and this is our first cost, which is $12.99. Actually, in addition to our, you know, our Lovable or Claude, wherever we're going to build our our website. I'm going to probably build all my stuff on Lovable because I can host it there as well, all included. So yeah, that's how we're going to do it. Okay, so the next part of our plan is to set up Stripe payments and basically set up our credits. So this is the part of the video where I want to figure out how much should we charge for our product and how much are people willing to pay. What's the most amount I can charge without gouging people and without feeling like it's too expensive. I basically need to charge an irresistible price that they're like, okay, for that amount of money, it's worth it. And I've done some research into like a big company. I found like a big thumbnail app that I know makes a lot of money every year from subscriptions because it partners with a lot of YouTubers and it's just been around for a while. And then I know this other app that I basically found through digging through for thumbnail recreation tools. So I'm going to go through both of those. And I'm basically going to try and validate the pricing for my product by looking at how much these guys are charging. And it'll give me a rough idea of kind of how much I should charge, basically. And then I'm going to do the actual math with Claude as to how much, credits cost me. So I'm going to have a cost every time a thumbnail is generated by a user. So I need to figure out like, how much does that cost? How much does 100 of those cost? And then how much do I charge for 100? And so obviously with a business like this, you can, if we scroll over here, I'll do some math. You could either charge by credits, right? Which is like every time, someone generates one, it charges them like $1, let's say. So $1 per generation. But the issue with that is, it kind of penalizes the user for making a new thumbnail every time, unless it's incredibly cheap, like a couple of pennies each. And then at the same time, for a fact that people aren't going to be most likely, like your average user isn't going to be doing 100 generations a month. So you've kind of got this fine line where you need to charge enough for you to make the business worthwhile without, trying to gouge them out. So I don't think credits as a model really works if you're trying to resell, basically you're putting a wrapper around like an LLM, like Google Gemini, which creates the images for you. You're obviously setting up an app that allows you to do things in a certain workflow. Like it'll let you recreate the thumbnail, add your face in, add custom prompts. You're saving people that time with your product, and you're obviously making it just so easy for them to use. Whereas if I was to, if they did it themselves, they could obviously save money by just doing this, by generating it themselves. But the whole value proposition of having a thumbnail recreation app like we're creating here is that we are bringing attention to something that they don't know about, and they're probably not going to do the digging on themselves. And we're also making it easy for them. And that's pretty much like why you pay for any app. There's loads of things that you could outsource yourself. You could use, let's say, like, just think of any, like even this whiteboard tool, right? So Miro boards is a very common subscription that people pay for so they can have interactive whiteboards. I don't really use Miro boards that much, so I just use XCaliDraw. But I don't think it's a bad thing to pay for Miro boards. I've paid for it before because I know that if I'm using it a lot, it's obviously worth my time and it's worth having a more advanced product. So that's pretty much why people are going to pay for our thing over just doing it themselves. Now, obviously, if you're watching this video, you're going to see that if you wanted to make thumbnails, you can just do it yourself quite easily. But the average person isn't going to be in that position. And it's not an immoral thing to basically, like, we're solving a problem for them and we're saving them time. They're not going to go out of the way and try and build an app and all this shit, because I've actually showed this to a couple of friends of mine and they're like, I can't get this working, or they can't figure it out, or something goes wrong and they don't want to worry about it. So our job is to just take that little thing off their plate and charge them like $10 a month for it or whatever. So anyway, I think we're going to go by a monthly model because I basically looked at the pricing for two of these, biggest sort of competitors in the space. So this is the Pixels company. I know they make a lot of money, and obviously they have loads of social proof. They've got loads of creators and they've paid them either through affiliate links or probably direct sponsorship, like pay them like $5,000 or something to talk about the product for a while. And then they'll give them a fee every time someone signs up using their link. So they obviously are able to charge $40 a month, but as you'll see, this is basically this is an app that I found someone built, just a normal young guy who wanted to obviously build an app and sell it, and he's only charging $15 a month, and he charges 25 per year. So pretty much for this guy's product, we can see that you can generate up to 100 thumbnails per month, and for this one, he says you can generate up to 150. But this one's obviously, the math ain't math in here. This one's $40. This one's 15. So you like, even with this one here, you get like $25. You get double whatever the output is with this one. But it's because this guy doesn't have a reputation or like many users, to be honest. Now, he also is selling credit packs, which is funny because I don't think that would be worth your time as a business. Even though you can sell like credits and you get more thumbnails or whatever, I don't know what the math he's done behind this is, but I don't think people are going to pay for this, to be honest, because the reason I say that is because this guy has a business that's active. Like this guy's making a ton of money. I don't think this app is actually making much money, to be honest. So what tells me is if the sort of credit model was to work, this guy would be doing it and he'd be doing it at scale. But obviously having subscriptions, a large part of the subscription model works because people forget to stop paying for it, or it's just more convenient for them to leave that on and just use that every month instead of, it kind of feels like you're penalizing the user whenever they have to pay each time they generate a thumbnail. So if so it's, and obviously people also, like, another reason for subscriptions working well, people don't want to worry about payment. So I don't want to have to go in here and like every time I need to do more thumbnails, oh, I have to pay for it again, because that is an administrative process that's boring to me and I don't really enjoy it. Whereas like if I just know for a fact I pay this $40, I can just make however many thumbnails I want because I'm not going to make more than 150. Then I'll probably just use that. So that's probably what we're going to go for. Something like this, but priced more close to what this guy was charging, because again, we don't actually have any social proof for ours. But now I want to actually figure out like how much does it cost for me to generate a single thumbnail and each run of this product. And we obviously have our base price of Lovable, which is like 25 euros a month or something. And then we have to figure out like how much does it cost per generation. I'm not really going to factor the 25 euros a month in because it's such a small cost. And if I'm running any business at scale, like that's a fixed cost. It's not going to, that's not really going to change depending on like how many users I get. So whenever it comes to generally running a business, you don't want to like, you don't really, unless you're running like a local shop or something. Hold on a second, I can't get this done. Unless you're running a local shop or anything, in business, you're going to have fixed costs and you're going to have variable costs, right? So in this business, for building a thumbnail design app, we have our fixed cost, which is our Lovable subscription. And we probably have a domain, basic shit like that, having a computer and electricity, all the basic shit. And then we have variable costs, which is just like our advertising. So how much do we pay to advertise this product? Because that might be different every month. Maybe we ran a Facebook ad to get a customer, or we paid an affiliate, or we paid a sponsorship. So that's, advertising would be basically a variable cost because that can change. We can get cheap advertising if we get mentioned by an online website or whatever that we didn't pay for. Someone could just say, well, I love this product, whatever. So that costs us nothing. But then you could also pay for a very expensive advert. You could take a risk on something that doesn't work. You also have obviously the credits. So this is the ongoing price per new user. Like how much does it cost if you generate 100 thumbnails? How much does that cost me? And that's kind of a variable price. So it's really important to understand whenever you're launching any sort of business, like even if it's a coaching business or anything, you're going to have fixed and variable costs, and how you factor in fixed costs will, like, I just don't typically care about fixed costs because I think like if I'm running an online business, I'm doing it online. So there's infinite amount of scale and leverage for me. So I should be able to cover the fixed cost with like 1 or 2 customers. And in a business like this, if it costs me 25 euros a month, fixed costs, you're looking at probably for a year, couple of €100 or pounds or whatever. Then like, if I ain't making a couple of £100 a month, I'm not aiming to run a business that makes £1,000 a month. I want to make a business that's obviously making like 6 figures a year or more, 7 figures, whatever it might be. You don't set the goal of being like, oh, I just want to make a couple of £100 this year. So that's why I don't really factor in fixed costs. I'm not running, we're not running a big lumber yard here where we have to pay for trucks and all that sort of shit to come in. So this one is quite important. And now we're going to go in and figure out how much was the variable cost. So what's my first sort of thought process here? I have to figure out like, okay, so it's Gemini that it runs on. So if Gemini, so I have to go to Gemini. I'm probably just going to ask Claude, to be honest, because I don't really want to do all the thinking here. This is what we use Claude for. So I've also just previously asked it like how many thumbnails I get for pricing. So I'm just going to make a new chat here. So let's just do, so I need to figure out how much it costs me to generate a thumbnail with Gemini's AI model, that I use in my Lovable app. Is there a way I can send you some CSV exports or screenshots of my current usage for the Gemini tool that I currently use? Or is there readily available information for something like this? I think, to be honest, specific information about how much it's been costing me so far is going to be more useful. So let me know what I can give you, and if there's a way to log how many thumbnails I've made so far in my personal use, and then just compare the pricing to it, and then you do the math of how much that cost me. So I've already used this thumbnail designer to make my own thumbnails, which gives us some important data that we need, which is like, how much does it cost me so far myself? So I'm probably going to have to pause the screen recording, by the way, here whenever I go on to my Gemini thing, because I don't want to share any APIs or personal information. But let's see what Claude says. So it's what you can send me. Okay. Usage dashboard. CSV export. Sweet. Okay. Perfect. Your Lovable app logs API calls anywhere. Okay. Sweet. Yeah. So I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how many images I've generated over time. It could be a couple hundred or 50. I have no idea. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Gemini and figure out how much I've spent, and then we can do the math here. Now, I also realized that I haven't actually covered this. So obviously, to generate images, we have Lovable, which is kind of our fancy little package for the app. But then underneath that, what's doing the groundwork is Gemini, the API. So what does that mean? If you're a complete noob, if you're not a noob, you understand what this is, you can skip past this section. But essentially, we have to pay for credits to Google because we are using their image generation tool to generate our images. So what I had to do, which I haven't included here because I've already previously set this up, and I actually forgot all about this, to be honest. You have to basically set up a Google AI Studio account. So if you just Google that, Google AI Studio, and then you go and set up like a paid API key. You don't even need to enter your billing information. Well, I didn't anyway. They offered me $300 in free credits to use their AI services, which I thought was sick. And I probably wouldn't have used it if it wasn't free, because obviously, and they know that. They know that there's a barrier to entry if they start charging you off the bat. So it's funny, like, I started to use this image generation from Google Nano Banana and all their Google services, and I realized how quickly, like, this is unbelievable. And then I sent this to a friend of mine who is like, he's got a small business. He needed to generate thumbnails for his YouTube channel. And he was like, I came back like a month later and he was still generating his own thumbnails, or like making his own thumbnails, and they were kind of shitty. And I was like, okay, you need to, like, why are you not using this AI tool? And he was like, oh, because it costs, like, it asked me to sign up for a credit, like a billing or whatever. I was like, man, it's like cost you like almost nothing to use. And so I actually done a thumbnail for him instantly right in front of him, and he was blown away, and now he signed up for it. But the coolest thing is that it's probably going to be free anyway for you. You'll probably get $300 of free credits. And if you're using this for personal use, $300 will stretch you for like a year, a couple of years. But if you're using this, if you set up an app through it, it may like depend on how many users you get. You want to burn through that $300 as quickly as possible, because you'll have made a lot of money off the back of that. So with this, you just basically pay for credits. I don't know how Google is going to charge me after that $300, but it's definitely worth it. Whatever it is, it's worth it, because I can just mark it up and charge a certain amount for my product. Now, what you have to do whenever you're setting up this Google account, to use the image generation tools the way I use them, you need to set up your billing and get an API key. And an API key is just a little password basically that you can give to another application like Lovable whenever you want to use a tool. So Lovable is like, hey, I need to use your Google account to generate these images. Can you give me the password, which is the API key? So an API key is just password. They take that API key and they say, okay, perfect, I have it. Now I can generate stuff. And so that's linked to your account. So it's literally just a little bridge to your account. And once you do that, you can start to generate your images through, Google's services. So I had to set that up. I haven't covered that already. And obviously I'm not going to be able to do a tutorial here, but all you have to do is go to Claude and literally say, step by step, as you're doing it, okay, I need to sign up for a Google account. I need to try and get this $300 free or whatever. Regardless, if you can't get the $300, it's so worth it. You'll pay pennies. Like my usage so far, I'm gonna try and pull it up here, so I'll just do that instead of talking about it. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what you have to look up. So go to Google AI Studio and pricing, and you'll see free, you get to use it at the beginning, And then whenever I was offered to use the image generation tool, it offered me like $300. I didn't even need to enter my credit card, so that was sick. Even for paid here, I think the rates are probably pretty low. I can't look at the pricing, but I can tell you from experience, and you can go and look at this yourself. It's very, very cheap. So once you do that, I will show you basically what you have to do next. Okay, you'll have to forgive me. I literally didn't even show on my screen what I was doing. I'm getting used to this live stream and stuff, so I just want to make sure I show you this before I go, because it sounded stupid, me just talking to a screen. So, free, paid, okay? Very, very simple. Just sign up for this. This is what we're talking about. You know, the amount of tokens you get is insane. For $2, you get like an insane amount. So yeah, I'm not an expert on token usage and all this sort of shit, but I know it's pretty cheap, all right? Okay, so we are now in my account basically, right? And if I go in here and look at view spend, so I've actually set a spend cap as well. I didn't know you could do this, but if I'm going to be selling this product to people, and I'm very liable to make a mistake. So let's say that I didn't set a limit to how much people could use my tool for or something. Whatever way I set it up, someone could go through and essentially basically just use as much of it as they want. They could spend £100,000 on it. They're obviously not going to do that, but they could just abuse it, and then like I get billed for everything because it's my account set up to it. So I obviously didn't want to make that happen. I set it to 50. I could edit that at any time. But as you can see, my total costs, now I generate a fair few thumbnails with this, and it's like 73 pence for the last almost month, which is insane for having generated thumbnails for a couple of videos. And all, let's say if you're making a YouTube video and you make one sale, which is like $15, you know, it's 73 cents. It's unbelievably cheap. But they were obviously going to charge me $9.73, so they've just deducted like whatever tools they've used, so it actually has cost me $9.73, which would still be, you know, if I charge $15, it's still a profit. So if we looked at 90 days, which is how long I've used it for, I can pretty much show it this. So I need to basically get the amount I've spent and the amount of tokens I've used to give to Claude here, so we can figure out how much it's going to charge me for each thumbnail basically. Okay, so now we have something really cool. So I went through and figured out basically using Claude, sorry. I've gone on through to figure out how much it's cost me, and we've pretty much found out that it's 11 cents per thumbnail. So for 100 thumbnails, let's just do 100. What's 100x 11? I should be able to figure this out, but to be honest, I don't want to use my brain today, so I'm just going to get Claude to do that for me. So it's £11 to generate 100 thumbnails, and if we're charging $15, oh yeah, that's not really a great deal based on this for 40 thumbnails. Sorry, so yeah, it's 11 pence per thumbnail. Okay, so if we're charging that much and it's £11, then we should probably charge more. We should probably charge more than $15 a month, because like that's not leaving us much profit. Like £11 is basically $15 US. So I think we should probably charge like 20 plus, or we should figure out like, okay, so I'll just explain this to Claude. So I've been looking at other thumbnail recreation tools, and I assume they use Google Gemini. And given that this is the pricing so far, they offer 100 thumbnails for, let's say, $15. So that wouldn't show much margin if someone were to use the full 100 thumbnails on the tool, if it cost them £11 GBP. Can you do the math on that and tell me how it works? So obviously I know that like nobody's really going to use the 100 thumbnails up, but we still don't want to leave it to where, yeah, there's like $1 of profit on our app. If they're going to use the max out, we want to make sure that in that scenario we're not getting like a very tiny profit margin, which is terrible. Yeah, yeah, basically said. So no optimization. Yeah, I suppose this is true. So we haven't been efficient. Like, so whenever I was generating these thumbnails, I had it at a point where it would generate 3 thumbnails at a time, and 2 of them were basically a waste because they were terrible. It would generate variations. This is what I mean. This is what we are doing. Like, this is why having an app like this, a lot of people will say, okay, your thumbnail, let me just see if I can switch over. Your thumbnail app is just a ChatGPT wrapper that you're selling to other people. But the thing is, we've basically gone through the processes of testing all the different features of an app like this ourselves, and then we've packaged it up and sold it to a user with you know, you don't have to think about anything. All you have to do is sit down and use this app for $15 a month. And you can see there's actually not much profit in it if we were to charge $15 a month. So I don't think we're going to be able to get away with that. I think I'd probably charge like $20 a month at the beginning, because I don't really want to sell something so cheaply with, you know, I want to be able to sell it like somewhat cheaply, but then also leave enough profit in it for us. But I think, to be honest, like $19 a month would probably be a good price. And I would almost sort of, sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. I would almost sort of be transparent on the pricing page and show them how much it's costing us, to show people that it's not, maybe I wouldn't do that, but I would want to show people that, because my general perception is that with most of these apps, that like it costs you nothing, and you know, SaaS apps like this are just infinitely profitable. But clearly, from doing the research here, like 11 cents per thumbnail, and if we're charging X amount by 100 thumbnails. Now, the issue is, or like the solution is, most people aren't going to use anywhere near 100 thumbnails, but people will probably use a good portion of that. So it is going to affect how much profit we make, and we want to leave decent profit in any event where we may be sort of, everyone's maxing out. In the worst case scenario, we still want to have a decent profit margin. And so in general, we'd imagine that people aren't actually generating 100. Maybe they on average generate like 20 or 30, and then that leaves way more profit for us because it costs us less tokens. So I kind of am thinking like $19. I actually like the idea of $24. But one issue with this app is that on some YouTube channels, it doesn't like, it wouldn't recreate the thumbnail of, let's say, an Iman Gadzhi video. And I think it's because it basically will come up with an error. And I think it's because of a copyright issue. Like, it doesn't, if a channel's too big, it may not recreate the thumbnail because it's like, oh, we can't use this because it's copyrighted content or something, whereas it doesn't seem to pick that up for most other channels, which is interesting. And it's again, something I figured out when I was trying to build this app. So I'm wondering, is like, how would we even deal with that with users? Because what if a user gets like a thumbnail and, you know, it doesn't generate for them? Does that cost the user something? Like, are they going to come to me and be like, hey, you're charging me for these thumbnails, but like half of them aren't even going through? So we don't want to be people getting moderated at all for our thumbnails. So I was kind of looking to see, like, are there any other image LLMs that are actually on par with Google Gemini? I did try and use OpenAI's models, but they were horrible, because basically the issue was, hopefully this is not going over anyone's heads either, because I'm kind of talking about this stuff because I know it. But anyway, when I tried to use like OpenAI's image generation tool, it didn't actually take the thumbnail that I uploaded and factor that in. It didn't even use my facial picture. It basically just like generated from text. So whatever way like Lovable communicated to, you know, this thumbnail, or like the OpenAI model, it just said, make a thumbnail of a guy with money around him. And then it generated like a horrifically bad thumbnail. So I don't think OpenAI is good. I think you need to be able to upload a reference image and have the image tool use that. I'm interested, like, there are a couple of other tools that I know can generate images. And so I think I'm actually going to ask Claude right now, what are some other image generation LLMs that would be on par with Gemini that also allow for uploaded image referencing? Because basically we used an OpenAI image generator and it wouldn't use the images we provided. It would just basically generate one from scratch, which isn't useful for our application. But the issue with Gemini is that it moderates a lot of thumbnails because, I think, copyright issues. So I'm trying to get around this problem, and I know that there are some other tools. So give me some ideas of what I could use here. Ideally similar pricing so that we aren't using too many variables when we're generating these thumbnails. And I also am wondering if you know, and if you can cite any sources, what happens if I try to generate a thumbnail with, let's say, Google Gemini, and it gets moderated or not approved? Am I still going to be billed for that thumbnail, or are they not going to bill me for it? Because that's quite important if we're running this as a commercial business. So let's see what this happens. Okay. I'm billing for moderated or rejected generations. Yeah, okay. So this is one thing I'm interested in. I don't want anyone getting moderated or rejected with our app, because, to be honest, it just creates customer service problems. And like with any business, you don't want to have headaches, and customer service costs more money, because then And it also costs more of my attention as a business owner because I don't want to have to deal with, and customers don't want to have to deal with that either. Like, I don't want you to use my app and then half it doesn't work because you're not going to pay me next month and you're going to have a bad experience, and I don't want that. So let's go through this here. Good news and bad news. Google's official building docs. If you request, okay, so that's pretty sweet. So if you use it, Google Gemini, you won't be charged. Okay, it goes against your quota. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Explain. Let's go back up here. So what other tools do we have? There's a catch. If it violates safety filters, oh shit, we're still typically billed. Okay, so that's not good. Because that is pretty much, the safety filters is pretty much what the error message I was getting was when I entered like an Iman Gadzhi thumbnail. So we don't want people like using thumbnails that they want to recreate, but then basically getting flagged and then them still being charged or their quota of 100 thumbnails being impacted. If someone doesn't get a thumbnail, I don't want to charge them because that's bad business. Like, why would we offer that? No, they're still going to charge them. Okay, so they're not really going to charge them much, but like, to be honest, I don't even want to run into this issue because there's more math behind it, to be honest, if we try and figure this out. So I just want to see if we can get other image generators. So you can actually adjust. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm interested in that. You can set safety thresholds. Interesting. I wanted to expand on this. Surely that doesn't make sense though, because then you could get away with generating any kind of image, which is probably not going to be possible. Like, you shouldn't be able to generate violent images or something like that. So this doesn't really seem to make sense to me. Alternative models worth using. Flux, 10 images in a single generation. Okay, so I don't even want 10, I want 1. I don't want to use, I want this. So I heard this like, oh my God, I'm not even sharing my screen. I have to apologize. If I go back here, hopefully I can show you my chat. So I really have to apologize for this because I'm doing really bad here. But basically I've been asking Claude like how this all works. So it's telling me that we have these options to also use images, and it's saying here that this supports up to 10 reference images. So that might sound better that we get 10 pictures every time we put a prompt in, but that's not actually good because we don't want to present anyone with 10 different options. Firstly, because like we want one option that's good every single time and they just tweak it, because if we make our users have to decide, then it makes the app less fun to use because you now have to apply cognitive load to every time you get a thumbnail, you have to decide, well, which one of these is better. It's kind of like Netflix effect. You know, like when you go on Netflix and you scroll for 20 minutes and you never watch anything. We don't want people getting that experience with our product. So I heard something from Naval recently that I thought was pretty useful. And it was that good products are hard to vary. So I think what he means is like, you look at any tools, like even YouTube, for example. YouTube used to be really customizable at the beginning. And if you had a YouTube channel, you could have custom everything. You know, your background could be different. There was loads of little tools that everyone could use and you could customize YouTube in so many ways. But then over time, you see it just becoming a standard interface that everyone uses, barely any customization, even with the likes of, you know, you can only really have like a dark mode or light mode. And so what it means is like, if you're creating a product, you basically just want it to do a thing, like do what it says on the tin, and don't create too many options for people because it makes them not want to use it as much. I definitely find that with Netflix. If there was less options on Netflix, but it was a few things that I know I'm going to like, I'll probably use it more than if I use it currently. Okay, so this one, that's just a point I wanted to make on that. So we obviously have a couple of image generators here. This one I didn't like because, yeah, so I'm not even going to use this. Replicate isn't very good. I've used Replicate before as well. Flux is something I haven't used before, so I'm interested. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. You know, you can pass in safety settings. I don't think it's gonna stop filtering content. I don't think we can basically stop it to do that because I think surely Google aren't going to allow you to just turn off moderation and start generating hate speech, harassment, etc. So this is a problem we have to solve because I don't really want to generate an app. So I have kind of thought about this. Let me see if I can just switch back to full screen. So I've kind of thought about this as a problem to solve in this business where, okay, people are going to run into issues with image generation where it won't replicate an image of Iman Gadzhi, for example, because he's basically too big of a YouTuber. But people are going to want to use tools like this. They're going to want to use the biggest, you know, YouTubers because they have the best thumbnails typically. So I was thinking of creating a small guide where it's like basically just a simple small line that's not very kind of visible, but it's there if they need it, which says having an issue or having an error message, read this guide to learn how to use the product. And this way we could use Google Gemini, and it's very, very simple. We don't have to use different AI models. And we basically tell them, okay, this is what's happening. Your image is getting flagged because you're using a thumbnail from a creator. And then we could probably add another little tool that allows them to basically face swap that person out. So this is something I found. When I use Iman Gadzhi's thumbnails, Google doesn't allow me to do it. So I have to go onto ChatGPT and say, change the thumbnail in this Iman Gadzhi thing so that the face is not Iman Gadzhi, it's someone different. And then whenever it gets this sort of generic guy's face, I can take the exact same thumbnail, but now with this sort of ChatGPT random face that it's put on, I can put it into my thumbnail tool, and then I can pretty much generate the thumbnail from there, and it won't flag as like a copyrighted thing because it won't see Iman Gadzhi's face. It's slightly different. And so I think Google uses its sort of safety filters. It like looks for thumbnails of like big creators, and it's like, okay, we can't have people stealing these thumbnails. So it like blocks it out. But if you change the face on it, that's basically a workaround. And hopefully I'm not going to be, hopefully Google aren't watching this video. I know they transcribe absolutely everything. So hopefully we're not running into issues there, but we basically have to go to a workaround to try and recreate these thumbnails, because I don't think they should be, filtering that out. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing, because I don't like the idea of having to use multiple AI models. And again, I don't even want people to have to choose between which AI model. I think they should literally just have a button that says create thumbnail, and it gives them exactly what they need. Because I hate, like, if you're selling a technical product to people, you just want to sell them a solution to the problem. You don't want them to have to decide this or that, because then it's like, why wouldn't I just do this myself? So that's what I'm thinking there. Little small guide, and we could create another tool. We could use, I'm kind of live problem solving here. So we could basically have a little guide that says, okay, what you need to do in the event that your thumbnail gets moderated is, this is the reason. So a workaround we've solved is use our other AI tool, and it's going to be in our Lovable app. We'll just have another little page on our website or whatever that allows them to put the image in and then use like ChatGPT image model or something like that to change the face on it to a generic face. And then it'll basically allow them to take that thumbnail and download it, and we'll just let them know. And to be honest, I would probably include this in the FAQs whenever people are paying for this tool as well, because I think it's important to know. I don't want people coming through and being like, hey, I didn't know that your thumbnail is going to get moderated and I'd have to do this extra step. So I want to put that on the sales page, because like the goal of running a business like this is that you're not spending your time on fulfillment, because it's an application. It should run itself. So we don't want to also spend time on customer service. The only issues we should ever have with customer service is like people thinking of improvements for the product, or let's say someone can't get into their account or something very basic, which again, most of those things should be automated and fixed. We never really want to have these customer service issues, because that slows business down. And if you're running a business, certainly at a small scale, you need to run as fast as humanly possible. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm going to do a bit of digging here, so I don't have to do it all on camera, because I don't think it's really useful to make you sit and watch all that. I'm going to figure out like, what can I do here, and then come back with a solution. Okay, so a bit of an update here. We've actually made a fix to the issue we were having. So one of the biggest issues I was having with this tool was that Google Gemini would not allow me to replicate thumbnails of people like Iman Gadzhi. And we had to basically switch over to using a different model. So what I did there was I basically used Claude for a while and asked it to show me other image generation models we could use, so other companies that allow you to make pictures. And then we linked one of those up. So we actually went to Replicate, which is another, I'm not even sure if it's, I think it just basically allows different models to host on Replicate. So I think it's kind of a website that allows, if you have a little machine that makes pictures, you can host it on Replicate, right? So we went through here and we were able to link up Flux 2 Pro, which is one of the image generation tools, right? I'm not a genius with all this stuff, I'll be honest. but we eventually got it to work. So obviously this is one of the outputs. We could tweak that slightly and just say no glasses, eyes looking at us. Okay, and that will probably tweak that and fix it. But we were able to basically get around the issue of Google Gemini not generating our images, which means we actually have no issues now scaling this product, because previously I was worrying about like, okay, what if it doesn't actually recreate an image and someone's paid me $8 a month or $20 a month or whatever, then they're going to be unhappy and we're going to get customer service requests. Now we've basically fixed that solution. And so this is pretty sick. And an also added benefit is when I look here at our pretty much our generations through, which you can actually see through this replicate platform, we can see that the approximate cost is only 8 cents, which is actually cheaper than what Google Gemini was. Now, I think the quality is pretty much the same. However, we're still waiting for this to tweak and hopefully this will look better. But we've actually reduced our cost for the business from 11 pence in GBP to 8 cents, which is probably, if we were to just basically do a quick conversion, I think if we do it here, okay, so 8 US cents in GBP. Let's see how much that costs. So this is actually a game changer. This is probably more important. So this is almost half the price of what the Google Gemini tokens were charging us for image generation, which is basically we've just halved the cost of our product, which is insane. And this was just from a few hours of messing about on Claude. So, you know, imagine a couple of years ago, you're trying to build a business like this and you couldn't really, just imagine you couldn't speak to AI about problems like this. The entire business would have failed or would have never gotten off the ground because of the lack of information you'd have had. But because of being able to use Claude here and just speak to it, we now have like, we've now like half the cost of a business, the variable costs, and we're able to pretty much run this business a lot more profitably. And hopefully it'll actually work as well. So only issue I'm seeing here now, again, when you build apps like this, there will be constant things that go wrong in the production process. And then once you get all those ironed out and you get people using it, you even start to find bugs and stuff like that from people just reporting it to you. And we're at the point now where we're fixing this all ourselves. Thankfully, I know actually what the product has to do. You know, I know what a good generation looks like. So, okay, so we've got an error here. So it's actually not worked. So we need to fix this, but this is fine. I've been working through errors for quite a while here. So pretty much we have a solution. Now we just need to tweak, like fix this little tweak section and we're good to go. So pricing now, we've pretty much nailed our pricing. So it's going to cost us 8 cents or about 6 pennies, 8 cents, let's just say. And if we were to, let's say 8 cents x 100 equals, should be $8. So if it's $8 for people to generate 100 thumbnails, which is about 630. So if it's $8 and we charge $19, in the absolute worst case scenario, we make $13 in profit from every customer, which is sick, right? Compared to what it was earlier, which was like $11 to, yeah, it was actually more. It was like $13 because it was in pounds or whatever. So 11 GBP in USD. So we were looking at like way shittier profits. Yeah, so it was going to be like less than $5 profit pretty much. And now we've got it to 13, which is insane. So I think we're going to charge $19 for this product. I'm really excited to get it going. And at $13 profit, let's do some basic projections. Okay, so let's say we get 10 users. Okay, I don't even need to do projection for this, but like 10 users at $13 is $130. Imagine we get 100 users. Like I'm actually just going to ask it. I'm not going to do very basic projections that I can do in my head. Give me projections of the profit and revenue of my app. I sell it for 19 bucks and the max usage of that tier would only cost me, I'm just gonna speak to this actually, $8. Okay, for some reason it's not working. Okay, was I right? Was it $8? Or have I completely messed up my $8? And if we charge, okay, so sorry, it was $11 profit, not 13. I don't know why I was saying that, but multiply users each time. Okay, so that's a pretty cool way to basically map out how your business would work. And from like, it's obviously very important to know your numbers if you're going to run a business like this, because if you don't, like, you're going to fuck it up from the start. So obviously, if we got 5,000 users, you have $95,000 a month, and with a $20 product, it's seeable that if you have a good product, 5,000 people could easily use it, right? Just think about how many YouTubers out there. There are tons, and even agencies and all that stuff. And this isn't even factoring in if we had a more expensive and more profitable tier that could offer more to the user, or if on top of their $19 thing, we could offer them to buy credits at that point whenever they're basically maxing out their tier. If we have, let's say, 2 or 3 tiers where it's $19 and then it's like $40 and $60, and at the $60 thing, let's say you have an agency that's using it to generate thumbnails and they're generating a fucking lot of them, you can then just say, hey, okay, you've reached the max tier. How can we make more money off this customer? We can basically you can just buy as many credits as you want. Now, it's unlikely you're going to get to that space, but if you get big enough, of course you can. Like, this is how these apps like Tinder, or, even AI models like Google, like any of these AI models, even Claude does this. You can buy more usage, and it's basically the way to make your product go as far as possible, and your profit margins and stuff like that. So 58% profit margin on this tier alone. You could definitely get a more profitable tier simply by just doing the math. So if you give the user a better deal but you charge more money, you obviously collect more revenue up front, and you might have a lower profit margin on the product, but you'll make more money per subscription if you're charging more. So all of this stuff is taken into account. This is pretty cool, and it basically allows us to know our numbers, like our simple margins up front, allows us to start playing with advertising with other people. So now that we know that we have a 58% profit margin, okay, let's actually just speak this in to Claude. So given that we would have a 58% profit margin on our variable cost of producing thumbnails, if we were to offer this product to affiliates, what's a good deal for them and us, and where does it leave us in terms of how much profit we have if someone took, let's say, 30% of the price of someone's sign up or something like that? So if we offer affiliates a commission-based approach for selling their audience on our tool, how much profit is left for us and how much are we paying them, etc. Do a simple projection based on, let's say, MrBeast promoting our product. So this, I'm kind of looking at this because we need to figure out distribution for this app, because it's all well and good of being like, oh yeah, we'll get like free users or whatever. I promote it in my YouTube video. Doesn't cost me anything. Sweet. Like, we'll probably make our first couple of sales off that YouTube video. But the issue is, how do we actually distribute this and turn this into a business where it's starting to get like 10,000 users? And this is where you need to start bringing in advertising. And I think the best advertising mechanisms are probably affiliates, because people typically, when they sign up for applications like this, they want to know that there's a bit of social proof. So you can't really, I mean, I'm a noob to the SaaS game, so I'm sure you could run ads. But it's just my gut feeling from a couple of years in business that I think an app like this would perform best on YouTube as an affiliate, or even just by sponsoring people and then targeting to get like a certain amount of sales. So let's say I say $1,000 to feature it in a MrBeast video, and we'd obviously need to make back our money on that $1,000 investment. How many sales would we need to get? How many? And then from there, we'd work out how many views does he typically get? Do we think we have a good idea? Like, we have a good chance of making a profit if we sponsor his videos and he promotes our product. So all of this stuff comes into play. Once you start to get the basic numbers of what your profit margins are for your product, then you need to start thinking about distribution and how you can basically promote it. So basic numbers at $19 a user, right? So split affiliate gets, okay, so they would get $570, we'd get $13.30 if it's a 30% commission, which I think is pretty standard, but even 30% is pretty high, to be honest. Because sometimes you'd want to give the user a discount for using their creator code or something like that. So let's say we did 20% commission to them and 10% off for the user, or we frame it as like, okay, I'll give you $5 off your first month when you sign up through, Dave's link or whatever. So let's say 30% we pay out to both the creator and the user combined to try and encourage people to sign up for this product. we would basically profit 5.30 instead of $8, which obviously cuts our profit down a lot, but that's how you get distribution. You know what I mean? And then at this point, like once you get more users, if you have a good product, you can your users will start to tell other people, and that's where you then don't have to pay commissions on every sale you make. You start to make organic sales through people just like word of mouth marketing. So it's pretty cool. These are just some of the basic projections I would want to do before running a business like this. And look, I don't know, maybe people start to use this and I start to get excited about it and I want to run this business further. To be honest, my goal with this thumbnail swapping tool was never to sell it publicly. It was just to use it for myself. And then I thought, well, if I can make a video teaching people how easy it was for me, to just make my first sale, I was like, oh, that would be pretty cool. But now as I get through it, I'm like, oh, it's pretty exciting. Like, it's pretty cool to see how you could scale this business. And I would certainly be open to, if I start to see sales coming in and if I think the product's good enough, I'd be certainly open to trying to scale this or something like that. But it's a world I've never been in before, so I'm pretty excited about it. I just know from years of business experience in other businesses, I know how to launch this in a way that it'll have the maximum chances of success. Whereas I think most people who start apps, they kind of go in blindly and they don't understand how they're supposed to make a profit. I think a lot of people will build an app with AI and they'll just kind of hope for the best and hope that it works and that they make money. And I've spoken to people like this, and to be honest, it's the same with YouTube. Let me just switch back to full screen because we're going to do some chat here. To be honest, like it's the same with YouTube. A lot of people start YouTube and they don't really have a plan for how they're going to make money. They just kind of go along and they think, I'll just keep making videos and hopefully, eventually I'll get sponsors or ad revenue or something will come in. And to be honest, it's a good way to start. Like, it is definitely a good way to start. How I started YouTube was I just kind of went in blindly. I said, I'm going to make money with ad revenue because that's the only way I know you can make money with YouTube. And then eventually, as I did it and gained traction, I started to make way more money from like digital products or getting referral clients for my business at the time. And so regardless what you're doing, if you're building things and you're selling them to people, it is going to be a good result. Because if you were to basically say, no, I don't want to build an app because I don't know how I'd get users. Like, it could be pretty daunting to say, if you said to me right now, how am I going to get 1,000 users for this app? I'm like, oh shit, the math behind that's pretty difficult. But if I was doing this all day, every day, and this was my focus and I loved it, I could probably make it happen if I think the product's actually good enough and if people want it. And luckily, there is a way to validate that thing. So I can see that people are obviously paying for Pixels, that other website. And I know myself that I use it and I know friends that use it. So I know that it's a validated idea. So then from there, it's just about how do I solve the problems of how do I get affiliates for this product? So how do I basically speak to people who talk about like thumbnails on YouTube or maybe YouTube advice gurus or whatever? How do we get them promoting the product? Do I have to pay them money? Can I find someone I can get on a purely commission deal and pay them a really good rate? So all of these things have, pretty good, there's all problems there, but they can all be solved. I think the biggest problem most people have when they start a business, whether it's an app or they're making content or it's a service-based business, is they try and map it all out at the beginning and then it becomes too daunting and they never start. So I've seen success in a few different things online because I've just kind of went for it. And anybody I know that runs any kind of business, they've had failures, but they've always just went for it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least you tried. And I've never met anyone who's never tried and somehow made money, because you have to do it. You have to fail and do these things. But I find it a lot of fun, to be honest. I find it exciting to build these things. And even just this, like, I've never done an application before and sold it to other people, but now I'm like, holy shit, I can pretty much do this in like a day. The only reason, like, you probably see the timestamps on the top corner of my screen here, and you're probably like, why, you said you were going to build this in 1 hour. Like, I've been coming back to my computer and thinking, like, I've been going away and kind of just doing my own thing, going to the gym or whatever, and then coming back and thinking about this and being like, oh, this is probably what I should do. And that's the fun and joy of running a business, is that you can, if you have something that you can be creative on, you can go off and do your own thing. And that time's actually useful. It's useful to just not be thinking about business or not be sitting at your screen, because you can be thinking of creative solutions that you otherwise wouldn't have came to if you were just static at your desk. So I've had a lot of fun building this so far. I can't wait to get this live. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it, the next section. Okay, so little update. We are at day 2. So I actually wanted to get this all done in one day, and then my ADHD brain just made me do other shit. So I'm currently booking a trip to Japan. So I started looking into all of that stuff yesterday. And also, to be honest, I wasn't that rushed on doing it. I have already basically set up. Let me go in here. I'm gonna have to screen share and pull up the YouTube channel. Okay, so I've made a video. If I just pull my YouTube channel here, I've made a video already about basically how to make your first $1,000 online. I knew this video would do quite well, and in the video I tell people how to use like my thumbnail tool. I kind of demonstrate the demo version of it and say you could become a thumbnail designer and legitimately make like a lot more money than you pay for this product. This little $20 a month subscription, you'd be able to use it, replicate people's thumbnails, charge $100 per thumbnail. So, you know, in theory, you could make a couple of $1,000s off the $19 product, and then just keep buying more credits if you kind of max it out. So I didn't actually have it built, but my theory or my sort of philosophy approaching launching things is just get shit out there and worry about the back end stuff later. So what I mean is get the video out. We don't have the thumbnail tool built. Most people would just wait till the thumbnail tool is fully built and everything like that, but then you're going to mess around on it. You're not going to have any urgency. So what I did was I basically said, okay, it's invite only right now because I haven't built it yet. And if you want to just DM me, and then I've set up basically a mini chat automation. If you don't know what that is, you can automate a simple message that says, hey, what's up? I'm working on this thing. I'll send it to you. And it's pretty clear to everyone, like it's a mini chat automation. I don't actually speak to people in the DMs through an automation, but my first message to them is because it just allows me to basically do, like, if I'm offering a lead magnet or something, I can do that very quickly and automated without me doing it. Because in this case, I don't need to be sending people this. All I'm doing is just send them a quick message being like, yo, I'm still working on this. I'll let you know when it's up. So people are gonna, we've already got, like, if I actually pause, I think I can go and show you my mini chat right now. Okay, look at this. This is sick. So we now already have 12 sends. So we basically have 12 people on a wait list for this product that we've made, and we have 900 something views. So this video's, it's doing quite well compared to my previous videos, and I think this is gonna do really well. I think so. If we look at this, right, we've got 12 people to sign up for the sort of wait list. Now, I tell people to follow me on Instagram and DM me. So those are 2 actions that they may not want to take. Maybe they don't care about following me. So I think we'll definitely get a lot more clicks when we just put in the actual thumbnail tool, and they know they can just look at it here. So 12 out of basically, let's say 1,000 people. Let's do the math on it. It's about 12%, or sorry, 1.2% sort of conversion rate at the moment for the wait list. If there's 1,000 people and we have 12 people signed up to, yeah, basically get the skill whenever it comes out, or the tool when it comes out. So that's a little bit low, to be honest. I think it will go up whenever we actually get the website up, but it's good. The video's doing well. This is why I'd rather just launch things and then build quickly. I know for a fact, if I had have waited to build the entire tool, build the website, all that shit, I would not have released this video as quickly. And every day that I haven't released the video is a day I'm not getting views potentially from that video. So now in 2 days, we've got 1,000 people watched it, and we've got 12 waiting list signups. And this video can now have more time to perform. And I think at the moment, Claude's also something that's kind of popular on YouTube. So it's also a bit of a trend. And I don't want to sit around and just wait for trends to pass when every day I could be getting views and sort of growing whatever business or whatever I have on the back end of that. So that's just a little insight into how I've chosen to promote this so far. So I also wanted to go in here because I wanted to do a quick update on the expenses and the pricing model we have so far. So very simply, we have Lovable, which is going to build our app, our website, and hosting. Now, I also pay for Claude, like the max version, like $100 a month, basically. And I could probably build like all of these things, and then I could get really cheap hosting as well. But I don't really care about that at the moment because I know Lovable is probably a quicker process to getting to that point. And hosting, I don't have to go through an external host. So hosting is basically like it's like having a piece of land to put your website on so that it can exist, and like keeping it live for everyone to go on and click it. So you need that anywhere. And I know you can get really cheap. This is usually really cheap. So this is like $5, and then $5 a month. And then these two things could be done in Claude Code. However, I just prefer the Lovable interface, and I feel like it's quicker and it's also less moving parts for me. So I don't have to go and get a separate hosting thing and then all of this shit. Lovable just kind of makes that easy. So Lovable's essentially doing the exact same as I am with this thumbnail tool, where I know I could do it cheaper myself, and like my customers could do it cheaper themselves, but it saves them time and it saves them hassle when it comes to, you know, just using my tool. So we have that. Then we have the $15 for a one-off domain. We don't have to pay that again, thankfully, or once a year. It's not going to make a big difference. And then we had to put $10 in this Flux model to try and get additional credits so that we can basically have a fallback tool if people aren't, if our Google Gemini thing says, oh, action blocked, like you can't replicate this thumbnail, then we'll just have a simple guide that says, hey, just use this one instead. And it's basically just as good. But hopefully, you know, we can get the Gemini one to where it's actually working all the time for them. So that's all. Like, that's what, 10, 25, that's $50 in fixed costs, 25 of which is monthly, you know. To be honest, the $10 for the image generation credits is obviously a variable cost, but like to start off, I don't really care. Like it's $10 to get you set up, and then from there, that's mostly for the testing phase for me, so that I can make sure that this thing works, etc. Which is a very small price to pay. Then we have variable costs, which is $8 to $14. So depending on whether people use the Gemini one, I am gonna prefer. I'm gonna offer them the option to use both, obviously, and I'm gonna say use the Gemini one first, because even though it's more expensive, I would rather them have a better service, and then we can eventually charge more for our product. I don't really care about profit at the start of this thing. Like, this business isn't going to be my do or die thing. If you cared about profit from day one, you could charge more money. I don't really particularly give a shit. So we're going to charge $19, and it's going to include like 100 thumbnails. That's just going to be the basic tier that they know they can sign up, and they can basically use as much as they want, because no one's going to use more than 100 unless they're, you know, maxing out or whatever. Then they can buy more thumbnails, or they can upgrade for another service. Now, we could also easily offer like $39 a month, and, you know, something, you know, you get like a way better markup or whatever, a way cheaper price and more profit and stuff. But like, people won't really ever max that out, in my opinion. And if they do, we'll still leave room for profit on my end. And then it'd be interesting. I don't think we're going to go that far in this video. We're not going to go to the point where we're scaling this and we're getting $40 a month subscriptions and people are maxing them out, and, you know, we have affiliates and all that shit. Maybe I'll do another video if you like this. If you're watching this far, I guarantee there's like 10% of the people who clicked on this video are watching this far. So if you're still watching, let me know if you want to see like a continuation of this. I could do another video being like how I plan to scale this, or trying to do something else, or trying to expand on it. I'm not sure if I will, but I think it could be fun, so I'm open to doing it. So yeah, that's pretty much our expenses so far. Very cheap. So $50 to get the business set up, which, I mean, tell me another business you can set up for that much. And from there, the only other expenses you would have if this was your business, and like, go ahead and try this if you want. If you want to build a thumbnail tool exactly like this, I don't really care. Like, you know, there's plenty of you out there, and some of you will build this and it'll be great fun. Your other expenses would be probably just sending out cold emails. You would automate the process of sending cold emails, or you could automate DMs, or you could probably do that shit for free. You could just scrape lead lists, but you could probably spend another, I don't know, $50 or less to get lists of leads, of people who you could reach out to, and you could probably get some sort of automation software, or, you know, you could pay for Loom, or you could do any of these things. But basically another $50, and you are able to reach out to people and offer this as a service. So I think it's worthwhile. Or even the better thing to do there would be, you wouldn't be selling it to people directly in the DMs. You'd be offering your services as a thumbnail designer. So your cost really would be $19 if you were to go with the freelancer route and use my tool, for example. And as you can see, I'm not making like an insane amount of profit on this. It's the $5 a month isn't going to change my life, but you could easily mark that up and go and charge like $100 per thumbnail, and just see an infinite profit from that. Basically, like, it's a lot of profit per thumbnail. So yeah, let's just go on to the next part. Okay, for this section, we are now going to set up our product payment link in Stripe, which is going to be very, very simple and basic. You will need to set up a Stripe account if you want to accept payments for your product. Now, if you're under the age of 18, you probably won't be allowed to set up a Stripe account. And I know that some of you may be under the age of 18, which is fine. All I'm going to say is figure it out. I'm sure you have family members that are older. Maybe they could become a business person, or maybe they could help you. And you don't have to break the law and don't have to lie about your age. That's all I'm going to say, right? Now, setting up, you don't need a business, you don't need a limited company or any of this bullshit to set up a Stripe account. Whenever I first started my first business, I've seen people start businesses and they're like, oh, I need a Stripe account, I need to go to an accountant and a lawyer, and I need to set this up, and I need to do all this shit. And they haven't made any money. Like, they haven't even validated that their idea is going to make money. They haven't made profit, or they've spent loads of money and they haven't done anything. All of that shit is a waste of time. You just need to set up the business as quickly as possible and start taking payments. A business is money coming in, okay? A business is money coming in and getting new orders. It's not, okay, I have a limited company and I have this and I have that and I have this. This is all just vanity bullshit that makes you feel like you're more important because you have a company on paper, right? All you need to do is just get payments in the door as quickly as you can get that done. Everything else is bullshit. Nobody cares. A business isn't a website. A business isn't, yeah, we've got our name on, we've got a logo and little office and all this shit. That's what all, like, so many people want to, I see all these, like, school groups full of business owners, and it's just like, you've got an Instagram page, bro. It's not a business. So let's go straight through. We've set up, assuming you've now set up your Stripe account, go and pause this video, set up your Stripe account. If you want to make money, you need to have a way to take payments, all right? Hopefully I don't sound like a dick. I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, I just see so many bluffers out there that don't actually go and do the work. So once you have that, right, I'm just using the Stripe account I set up for another business of mine, and I'm going to create a product. So what we're going to do here is this name. So this is the product we're going to call Thumb Swipe Basic, let's call it, because this is going to be our $19 a month product. We don't need a description. We don't need an image. It's a recurring product. I think we're going to charge US dollars because it's probably where the most amount of people are going to be who purchase this product. I could charge pounds, but I think dollars is probably the safest way to go. Billing period monthly, yeah, so it's $19 a month, and don't worry about starting to collect tax. Like, I mean, actually, if you want to worry about it, if you want to put it into Claude, that's actually a legitimate thing you can do. I personally know how to pay my taxes, and I have a business, etc., so that's all handled by my accountant. But if you're worried about this stuff, it's not a reason to not do the business or anything like that. You just ask Claude what the basics are. Do I need to actually worry about this? Is this something I need to worry about? You probably won't, right? So we add this product, and now we have our $19 Thumb Swap Basic. Whenever we go to basically set up a checkout page and shit like that, we have something to sell, okay? So that's going to do it for this section. All right, so a little update. We have successfully linked up Stripe with our app, and it's very, very easy to do that. And I actually don't want to like record every part of this process, because some of these things I have to basically show private information, and I obviously don't want to put that on YouTube. So whenever you're linking your Stripe account to your Lovable app, simply go through Claude and ask it what to do. That's all I did. It's very, very simple. You don't need YouTube tutorials for that basic stuff. So I basically asked it to confirm now what's going on here. So what do we need to do next? So I obviously want to have a website that people can land on and purchase my product from. Then I want them to have to sign up and pay before they use the product. I may offer a free, like a single free generation or something, so they can try the tool out. I probably will offer that, but that's adding more complexity. Right now, I think I'd like to just launch it as a standalone thing. Like, you just pay for it, and I basically do a demonstration on YouTube, and I rely on the trust of my viewers that I've built with them. They obviously trust me. They think, okay, I'm not going to screw you over for $19 or whatever it is. So I think I'm just going to charge straight away, and then maybe later I will add an option where they can generate a free thumbnail, but I obviously have to make sure that they don't abuse that. I don't want to make sure that, like, I want to make sure that people can't just refresh the page and just instantly regenerate thumbnails all the time, because then it will cost me money and they'll never sign up for my product. So there are ways to go about that. I know for a fact there are ways to do that. So I think, to be honest, we're going to be fine. I think we'll just launch as a paid offer. We'll clearly show on the landing page this is what the product does. You can take anyone's thing. If it's not working for people, I will refund them or I will fix it for them. And there we go. We at this point we'll have a working website. So what I need to do is I need to basically go to Lovable, build a complete website for ThumbSwap, and I actually want to ask, so how do I customize this site? Can I input? Okay, I'm just gonna speak to it. Add a reference image for another website I like and have Lovable basically use that as a visual guide to designing my website. So obviously, again, for the website, I don't want to have to come up with a full new idea because that's going to take time and effort. And we're just here building a simple app to make money. And it's not gonna be ripping off someone's like, or I'm not taking someone's artwork and stealing it here. I'm just taking a simple website and being like, okay, I want it to look like this. So use the screenshot. Okay, sweet. So we can use, we can pretty much just get a screenshot of a website I like. So I need to go and find a website I like that I can show to Lovable and basically build a website. Okay, so you can also just paste the URL. Oh, sweet. So we can also just give it a website and it will look it up. That's pretty sweet, man. Pixels. Okay, so yeah, it's giving us obviously some different options here. To be honest, I'm gonna go find inspiration here. I'll show you where I'm looking for inspiration and then we will go from there. All right. Quick note, I also want to build a quick little logo for this. I have a funny idea in mind. I'm gonna do like a little guy, like a little robber kind of guy in a burglar suit, and I'm gonna turn that into an icon. So I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Maybe I should just ask Claude, or yeah, let me just ask Claude. Let's go back into this. I want a little logo of man, let's make him fat, round shaped man running with a bag of money over his shoulder. Let me just go straight to chat. And it's a side profile, it's a simple 2D image, and he's got a smile. Can you make this, or can you tell me where I could easily make an icon style logo for this for free without sign up? Okay, so we just want a simple logo. Don't overcomplicate this. Most people, you don't even need a logo in most cases. I'm just doing this because I think it's fun. Okay, so you could pretty much get ChatGPT to do this for you, or Canva. So I'm probably going to use ChatGPT. So give me a prompt. Okay, simple flat. Perfect. That's all we need. So I'm just going to copy this prompt. I'm going to pause this here because I need to load up ChatGPT and I don't know if my account's signed in. Okay, so we now have a logo. This is absolutely fine. We may not even use this, to be honest, because I might just, like, depending on how the sort of landing page looks, if we just decide, like, so I've started to look through Lovable. I don't want to go too far to look for landing page ideas. But like, I like the idea of something simple, black or white, and then it just literally tells you what to do. I also know that looking at these other thumbnail design tools that we've looked at, like Pixels earlier in the video, we can see like what the websites that make loads of money, what their site looks like. And then we could just basically use the same format, because these websites, if they're making a lot of money, chances are they are split testing the layout of their landing page so they can get the most purchases. So again, you want to go to someone who's an established business in this space and see if you can just look at how they formatted things. Instead of like trying to do it all yourself and adding things without purposes, your landing page should be a case of like removing as much stuff as possible. The only shit on there should absolutely serve the customer. I hate when I go to these sites and they have all of this complicated bullshit that doesn't... By the way, I've just realized I was listening to Michael Jackson. So you're probably looking at that and being like, what are you doing? I was listening to Michael Jackson. Anyway, most of these websites, most people will start a business and they will have like an about us section and some bullshit about like just all this shit that no one actually cares about. You do not want buttons on the screen that send people away from where they should go, which is to purchase your product. The only button on your entire screen should be purchase, right? Or go down here to purchase. So when you're building this, don't add like step 1, step 2, step 3, all this bullshit. If you can include a simple demo, that's like the smallest, the quickest possible way to do this. You need to be thinking about, how do I do as little as possible? Because that keeps it simple for the customer. Just think of this. Someone goes on this website. They're not going on because they're your best friend and they want to support you or any of this shit. They're going on here and they're like, do I need this shit? What does it do for me? Okay, in 1 second, I'm going to give this website 10 seconds before I leave it because it's trying to sell me something. So do I know within 10 seconds what I'm going to get and do I want it? And then if they do want it, they can click on it. But if you've got all this complicated additional shit that most people add to their websites, you're going to turn people off and you're going to waste your own time and money because you have customers landing on your page, which is the asset. Getting people onto your website is an asset. You have leads. And if you're not making money from them, you're wasting your time. So for this, I think we should probably go for, to be honest, I wanted a white one, but I think if we're doing a little robber, I think a black background. I've seen this one used everywhere, this green one, so I don't really want to use the exact same. Unless, I don't know. I mean, we could look at the Pixels website, which was, I guess, just as simple. It was something like this, wasn't it? Yeah, this was pretty simple. Okay, maybe this one. I don't know. I don't want to use the same one as everyone else. So that one was simple. Okay, let's have a look at this. Hato SEO. Okay, look, I'll decide on one. I'll let you know why I chose it. Okay, so to be honest, I think I'm just gonna do this. I think I'm just gonna literally take whatever they have here, and then replicate this. So we don't need a Discord. We don't need any of this shit. We just need to start off with a simple, the shortcut to millions of views. So I would imagine they've split tested this. Maybe they haven't. I'd probably, because I have a slightly different tool. So this is an entire sort of thumbnail generator in total. So this is going to generate thumbnails from scratch based on what you tell it, which is not what our product is. Our product distinctly is different. We just help people recreate thumbnails. So I'm thinking of a headline like recreate any thumbnail instantly. Take a thumbnail, like I want them to know exactly what it does straight away. And I'll probably show a picture of being like this thumbnail plus a face pic and then the finished result, which is, you know, my picture or whatever. So I need to figure out a way to visualize that below because it's going to be a very, very simple tool. And yeah, so the shortcut to millions of views from ignored to viral with data-backed AI thumbnails. Okay, and then they have a little demo, which I'll probably do as well. Generate my first thumbnail. So I think they have a free trial. I think that's probably going to prompt you to sign up. Yeah, so if you want to use it, I think you're going to have to sign up, and I don't think they'll let you view your finished thumbnail. But I think we can obviously launch, just get them to sign up and pay first. And then if I decide like, okay, I want to try this as like a full business, if I think it'll be another fun video, if I get a good response to this video and a lot of comments, I'll just say, okay, let's just launch this into a full business. So this is I'm going to basically just go into Claude and be like, okay, so I have the business I want. Why is this not working? Okay, Claude is bugging out on me here. Okay, so Claude is bugging out there. So I've just said, this is what we want. So I want, oh my God, Claude's irritating me now. So give me a prompt for Lovable to build a landing page like, you know, this Pixels one. Okay. So hopefully this will just give me a prompt. No, you don't need to look at this shit, bro. This is what I mean. Sometimes Claude's slow. Okay, you don't need to do all this shit. Why is it doing this? One sec. Okay, we are back. So what I'm gonna do now is ask, I basically got a prompt from Claude to get Lovable to basically build this. And what it can also do, hopefully, let's just click build. So Claude told me that basically Lovable can actually look at a live website and replicate it. So I've given it this Pixels website and I've asked it to replicate this. And then what I'm going to do is probably just change the colors so it's not the exact same. Maybe like a blue, maybe let's call it blue or something like that. We could even make it a white background with blue or something like that. That's cool. And then I don't even want all this crazy shit going on, to be honest. I think this is too much. This guy's website is probably fine because they offer lots of services. I'm going to remove most of this stuff, to be honest, but as you can see, it is reading all this shit itself. So I'm going to skip all this. I'm not going to make you sit and wait through this. But yeah, it's pretty much going to do all that. All right, welcome back. So I have another outfit. Obviously, I'm wearing a jumper, and we are basically at the stage now where I've put my initial prompt in, and this is the website it's built, which to build something like this basically instantly from a simple prompt and me not having to do any work is insane. Now, obviously, there's a ton of shit on here that I don't want to have. I don't really care about. So like all of this stuff, we probably don't need all of this stuff. API, I'm guessing some of these tools are useful if people want to plug them into workflows that they use. So sometimes you'll see applications offer an API like this. And what that means is, let's say you have an automated process for making thumbnails en masse. Let's say you have an agency or something, and you say, okay, you just click run and it will go and create a thumbnail. It basically just allows you to automate the process of anything. And then if we give them an API, it will now basically offer them, they can use our tool as part of that process. So if they need to thumbnail recreate, they'll just, hey, ask this tool, the thumbnail recreation tool, to recreate a thumbnail for us as part of our big automation. So this is pretty much it. Now, I'm obviously going to be able to change all this stuff. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to edit the whole thing and show you how I rewrote this landing page and like what I took out, basically why I have it the way I do. So I just wanted to show you how it looked straight out of the gate, which is insane because obviously it's just instantly taken their website and given it to us. And so, yeah, let me just do that for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do, what I used to do if I was designing a website like this, I would open up a Google Doc and I would write out my web page as I was going to make it. So I would write a big headline, I'd add whatever image I was going to add next, but thankfully we don't have to do any of that stuff with Claude now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to speak to it here and you can watch what I say. So this is the output we got from Lovable and it's pretty good. I just want to change a lot about it. So our tool is specifically built to help people recreate any thumbnail instantly. And so I want to remove any other features or mention of other features from this landing page anywhere that it occurs. So I want you to basically give me a prompt that's going to explain that to Lovable, including in all of the FAQs and every part of this. I also pretty much want to remove every part of the footer section that isn't required. I don't think we need to show people a privacy policy and all of this stuff, even APIs. We don't really need that stuff yet. We're just launching this as a minimum viable product, first of all. I think I'd like to keep the two-tiered pricing as is, but obviously we only offer thumbnail recreation services. And I think we should probably have, in terms of the $39 a month, just increase the amount of credits. Basically, that's all we're going to offer with the higher price. It's just going to be there mostly to price anchor it so that people think of paying, $40. They think that's the main one. But the $19 offer looks like cheap in comparison. So yeah, the tool's called Thumb Swipe. I think the headline we should use is instantly recreate any thumbnail, and then a sub headline that matches that. So I'll let you come up with that yourself. And then I think we should basically, just have a sign up that sends them down. We need to remove any social proof. So at the moment we have literally never shown this to, okay, so this seems to have just stopped. Have never sold this to anyone. So we don't have any social proof at all. And we just want to show what our product does through explanation. Let's have a little button to watch a demo video, which I will record later. And let's just make sure that everything lines up with what the reality is, which is this is a thumbnail recreation tool. We haven't shipped it to anyone yet. We don't obviously want to mention that, but we want to make sure that it's simple for anyone to use. And for the FAQs, there shouldn't be any more than necessary. Basically offer any FAQs that would make sense to this product. So anything someone might have a question about, I'll let you come up with those as well. So I want a big prompt that tells Lovable all of this stuff. I also want to change the sort of green color throughout to be more of an accent of, let's say, a blue color. And let's try a white background, so a light theme with a blue, and see how that works. Okay, so with that, this just shows you how insane it is to have Claude, because it used to take you a long time to do this, but with a couple of prompts, I'm able to, basically, I can tell Claude or Lovable I want this. I can go have my lunch. I can come back. Everything's done. And then if I want to change it, I'm not going to have to sit and do loads of shit myself. I can just wait for Claude to write a big prompt. So I'm literally just going to take all of this. I haven't checked it. And it's going to, based on what I've told it, just do everything for us. So it's not going to lie that, used by 500,000 creators or whatever. Makes no sense. It's just going to do everything as we want it. Basically, it's perfect. Like I don't even know how to explain it any further. Like if I hired a designer or if I hired someone to do this for me, I would just say, do all of this stuff, and I trust you will do it all right. And now we're going to see the finished result whenever it generates it here. Probably take like 2 minutes. So I'll just pause. We'll come back whenever it's done. Okay, so it has built our new page and I like this a lot more. So instantly recreate any thumbnail. Now, the only thing I want to add is going to be like an image or some sort of like proof of how the product works instantly, like on the first view of the page. I don't want them to have to scroll down. And for a demo, we will have a full video of how the actual tool works when it's built. So great thumbnails exist. Recreating them shouldn't be hard. Yeah. Okay, I like this apart from the little shitty M dash. So yeah, you see a thumbnail that works. Design tools. Yeah, perfect. Recreate any thumbnail in seconds. And this is pretty much it. I'd maybe add a thing being like, why waste time on using Photoshop when you can just recreate a thumbnail? Swap in your face and brand, and then we'll show them that the quality is there as well. So I'm going to show them some of the best results I've gotten from this tool and prove that the results actually drive views. So I can probably show like each video that's getting a 1 out of 10 on my current YouTube channel and use that as proof that this tool works. Now, I want to see the FAQs that it's given me because these are whatever ChatGPT or Claude gave it. Thumbswap is a tool that lets you recreate this. Okay, perfect. How does recreation work? You upload a reference, our AI identifies it, and rebuilds it, and any custom text you provide. Nope, perfect. Okay, this is absolutely sick. This is unbelievable. We can even give them a guide. Okay, ready to recreate your first thumbnail? Okay, this is perfect. So whatever it's Claude's obviously decided that these two things have to be here. Terms of service and privacy policy. So if we have to put them in, we'll put them in. I wonder if we click that, does it go anywhere? Okay, so at the minute, it obviously hasn't built that page. And then all of this shit, like this is just gonna scroll down the page. So these are not additional pages. These are literally just like what the person would be asking for. Creators getting started, 30 thumbnail recreations per month. Okay, so we're obviously gonna change that to 100. $39 for 100. So I'm probably not gonna do that. Like, I'm just gonna double whatever it is. Priority processing speed. Yeah, so you could basically offer these things. We can figure out how to like improve the product. We could offer, okay, yeah, I understand. Support early access to new styles. Okay, so I don't even know what the point is of that, but we can see like if there's a way to add something else onto this, but it's a pretty simple tool. So I don't really want to bullshit my viewers and say, hey, you can get access to this and that. I think the main thing is just going to be you get more access if you want it, right? And as a sales process here, because you're watching this, like I'm not, I'm being pretty transparent with you. So if the reason you charge like more money or you even have this tier is that if this is the most popular one, people are like, okay, no, I don't want to use the most popular one. This sort of suggests social proof that other people are always purchasing this thing. And then with this one, $19, so it's like, okay, that's all I need. And so it's like, instead of the choice being, do I purchase this or not? It's, do I purchase this one or this one? So we've kind of, it's basic sales psychology. So I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, there are a couple of basic tweaks which I can make on my own. With the product itself, we've actually changed a couple of things about it. So if I can go and pull that up. So how do I get back here? Okay, so we've, let me just see. Let's go back to dashboard. So I want to show you the tool because we have updated it a little bit since the first thing in this video, and I still have to fix it entirely. I have to change the name, and I'll probably turn it into a light themed thing as well. So we have all of these different models. I'm gonna remove this one because we can't, it's terrible, it doesn't work. With these here, I'm almost considering just having one. So I would literally just do like Gemini, just whichever one I think works the best, and then just have this. So it's a choice. So it's like recommended, and then also works. And that's just there as a fallback if the other one doesn't work. So I've also added this your faces section. So for me, for example, right, I have a couple of images of myself, and this one works for certain circumstances, but if my head is laying on a desk, like I have a thumbnail like that, then it's better to have this one because I wouldn't have a hat on while I'm laying my head in the desk, or you'll understand as you use it, but this is definitely a better tool. So it's pretty cool. You can basically just input a YouTube link or upload your own image, add your face, and we can always allow them to add more faces, add additional prompts, and then just generate a thumbnail and tweak it. So we're gonna make sure the app works. That's basic shit, and all that literally all that is. You don't need me to teach you that. All you need to do is go into Lovable and be like, I want the app to have this or fix this. If it's repeatedly making a mistake on something, then you need to kind of use your brain. So there was one part of this thing where I needed to set like another image generation tool up. So this Flux 2 Pro thing, I realized now it wasn't teaching me, basically, it wasn't telling me like what the actual problem was and why I couldn't generate thumbnails with it, because it was offering it, but it wouldn't work. And so I knew from experience that basically it wasn't working because I hadn't provided like an API key and I hadn't actually put credits onto the account. And I know that from experience. So obviously, if you don't know that from experience, you should speak to Claude and be like, hey, is there something I might be missing or that Lovable might be missing? For example, this or that. This is where creative problem solving comes in. This is why most people who start businesses, like, this is where experience comes in. And I actually offer like one-to-one mentorship. I don't really mention this on the channel that much anymore. But if you're interested in that, you can just DM me down below. You get like $2,000 worth of free courses of my old stuff. So you can see what the quality is like of the training we provide. And then if you want mentorship from me, you know, just let me know in the DMs and we can talk. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to work on pretty much fixing this up to be perfect. It's basically entirely done anyway. I just need to remove this and a couple of other things, and then we'll move on to the next section. Okay, so we have now updated the app. It looks good. The model has fixed. It's taken that OpenAI one out. We've got the right website and everything. So I've just connected my domain, which honestly was like 2 clicks. Again, you wouldn't believe the amount of stuff a couple of years ago, just how much quicker it is now to basically sell anything online. Like, it used to take, whenever I used to have to set up a domain name, you'd have to go in. I'd be intimidated by the whole process, because you'd have to go in, basically figure out like, you know, what DNS records I have to change. And there's this whole process, and you didn't have ChatGPT. You'd have to go and watch a YouTube video about it, or, you know, just Google it and try and piece it together yourself, which just took more time. And it also like put you off doing things as quickly. So with AI, just speeding every process up and having the knowledge that I can use the likes of Claude to learn anything. This is why, like, I have no issue launching any kind of business. If I have an idea, the amount of execution required to build a business nowadays compared to how it used to be is so much faster. It's so much less, to be honest. So we've got our thing, and we also have our website. So I'll just show you the website quickly. Now, we still may need to change 1 or 2 things, but I can do that myself. It's quite quick. Instantly recreate any thumbnail. You know, we'll add a Loom video here that explains this. Again, all of this sort of stuff. Like, if there's anything, I'll include stuff in this video if I think it's actually useful or I'm actually teaching you something. But like technical stuff, I don't need to show you. Like, there's no point me showing you how to set up a domain name or something like that. You can Google. I just want to show you things that I would do that maybe a beginner otherwise wouldn't have thought to do. So this is pretty much it. It looks absolutely fine to me. Like, everything's pretty much perfect here. And as you saw, that took like a couple of prompts. So now we want to publish this, and I'm going to add my custom domain. I'm going to connect. I'm just going to pause here in case I reveal any personal info. Okay, so little update. I've gone for a walk. I've done some other stuff. I am still running my other business and I have other stuff to do. So this video is something I want to do, but I'm kind of just letting things play out. And I've basically gotten Claude Cowork to start doing some of the work for me while I've been away here. So what I've got it to do is pretty much like the point we're at now is we have to get the app live and the website live. And to do that, we need to put one on a different domain than the other, but they basically both need to be on the same domain. So I don't want to have like if I show you, I don't want to have it like this here. Let me just pull this up here. So where's my whiteboard? So this is, if you understand this, I mean, I'm going to assume the majority of you don't understand some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here, and if you do, you can skip past. So typically there is what's known as a domain, which is google.com, right? So that's your domain. Let's just make this a bit bigger. Then there is, you'd have like a .com/tool, right? So if this was, you know, why don't I just actually make this my domain? So if this was Thumbswipe, right? We'd have thumbswipe.co, and this is where we want people to go to basically find our landing page. So we want people to be able to Google that and then find it. And then whenever we have a app, we want to hide it behind a paywall. So people have to pay to use it because it costs us money every time we run it. So instead of, basically what you could do is like, okay, thumbswap.co/app or thumbswipe. If we did this link would be easily available for free and anyone could use the app for free, which kind of defeats the purpose of a paywall. So we need to be able to make this somehow, we need to be able to use the same domain, but hide it behind a paywall. And how we do that is called a subdomain, right? So we have app. You've probably seen this for other websites. So you have like app.chatgpt or whatever it is. And this just allows us to have the same domain, but it's not publicly available to everyone else and we can charge for it. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're currently getting Claude to do that for us. So Claude Cowork, I've been asking it what I wanted to do and then giving it just, it'll give us a prompt. And then that prompt we'll just put into Cowork here and it goes and does all the stuff for us. So it's going and editing our domain records and all of that sort of stuff. And then I'm just going to test it at the end to make sure it works. And that way we've basically got Claude working for us like as we do other shit. So this is pretty cool. I'm gonna skip to the next section now and just cut this part. Okay, so this is just a live reaction. So we've just launched the app and I just wanted to actually document my actual reaction. This is like the happiest I've been in business in a long time because we've got our first sale. Everything's gone live. I might put this in at the start or at the end, but I just want to show you here. We've got our first sale and it's like £20, £21 or something like that, but absolutely sick. I'm so happy to see that. Like, I did not think anybody would buy this, if I'm being honest. Obviously, I was like, okay, I know this is worthwhile. I know this is like something I've used for months. But I think the first person who bought it is like a follower of mine for a couple of years now. He calls Sean. And he just said he was excited to use it because he's obviously followed me and it's something I've built. And yeah, I don't know. I actually went and got him, like added 20 bonus credits to his account because I was just like, you're the first customer. But yeah, I will show you all the technical stuff in another section of this video, but it feels good. The first sale, like I'm gonna switch back. So I don't know why it feels so cool. It's just like, I've never done this before. I've been in the same kind of businesses for the last couple of years where, I offer a service or maybe it's coaching or something like that. I'm still getting messages from people who are joining. I think there's going to be multiple sales in tonight. But like, obviously whatever service you're selling, it doesn't matter how much you're making. If you start something completely new and you get a customer where you're like, this is a totally new field to me, the excitement level is still the same as like your first sale with your first business. So that's kind of where I feel at the minute. You can probably hear my voice. I'm really, really happy. So I've been working on this all week and to actually see real people buying it is the maddest thing ever. So yeah, this is pretty much all I have to say. I'm pretty buzzing. Okay, so fast forward a bit. Obviously whatever you watched last, I can't remember what it was, but I spent a lot of time building out a lot of the technical stuff in the last couple of days. So this section right now is a bit of a fast forward because I didn't really want to include just hours and hours of footage of me speaking to Claude and setting up boring Stripe links and just technical stuff that doesn't really teach you anything. So I'm just going to go in and give you a full recap here. We've launched the product. It's live. I'm going to show you everything now that we've done and that I've learned and sort of any lessons I can give you here. So let's just hop back into our computer. And okay, so I think last time I looked, we were probably at this stage here. So setting up authentication. So obviously we wanted to add the ability we basically wanted it so that people can go on a landing page, see the pricing, click purchase, buy it, and then they would be prompted to log in. And from there, they'd set up their name and then they could start using the app straight away. And they should be able to see credits in the corner, so see how many credits they have left to generate thumbnails, all of that sort of stuff. So that was what I worked on. And throughout a lot of this process, like there was so much of it I was so confused about and very much intimidated by. Namely the stuff about like how to do credits. So I know that obviously like it'll cost me every time I generate a thumbnail through my Google Gemini thing. So I was like, how do I price this? Like, how do I know how much to charge? And then obviously we sort of figured that out in a previous section, but then I was also like, how do I make sure that like it actually bills someone correctly for the credits and that it like deducts a credit when they purchase something, etc. I can tell you it couldn't have been easier to get all of that done with Claude and Lovable. It was all done for me. I'm glad I used Lovable as well, because I could have done all of this through Claude Code and just directly there, and I could have saved a little bit of money by hosting the website, like so having a place to live on like a free or a very cheap, you know, hosting service. But I really would have been saving like 20 quid a month, and I don't really care. The purpose of this project was mostly to see, can I build an app and put it live and have a sale come in? And also, how easy is it for anyone else to do? Because this was my first time doing this, and if I couldn't do it, you know what I mean? I didn't want to put out a video being like, all right, I've done this and anybody can do it in 2 hours. This took a couple of days, and it wasn't a couple of days of hardcore 12-hour days or anything like that. It was probably a handful of hours per day, because I didn't want to, like, my initial thing, I think I probably have said at the start of this video, oh, I'm going to get this done in an afternoon. That was my expectation. It wasn't too far off. However, I didn't want to put it out in the state that it was in after a couple of hours, because I want it to be good and I want to make sure that people aren't having issues with it. And if they're paying me their money, I don't want them I don't want them wasting money. So, and I don't want to have to give out refunds and all that shit. Like, if it's bad, I would just give out refunds and I have no problem doing that. But I didn't even want it to get to that point. I wanted to release a working app that I'm able to put my name to. And so yeah, let me just basically show you everything, because I think it's pretty sick. So we've set this up, we built the landing page, all of this stuff, again, just done through Claude. And even something I even learned was that you can obviously speak to Claude. And what I was doing was I would speak to Claude in the chat, and then I would go back to Lovable and I would paste in a prompt from Claude chat of like, this is what I should, like, this is what I want, basically. Claude would tell me what to like give it, like what prompt to give it, and then I would just give that to Lovable, right? But the issue is that's just a lot of back and forth. So how can you cut that down further? I basically just spoke to Cowork, and Cowork can just do it all on your behalf. So you can tell it what you want, and it can go in, speak to Lovable. And one of the most insane things that I never thought would happen was it would actually like push back on things that Lovable did wrong. So we were building like a privacy policy for the website, like just a basic thing that we needed. And the formatting was really bad. So Lovable was giving us a shitty looking page. And to my surprise, Claude Cowork was basically just telling it, yo, this looks shit, like it needs to be fixed. So I don't know how it understood the quality threshold that I wanted, but I'm assuming it just knew what it was doing. And so that was insane. You could actually even skip a lot of the technical work yourself. You didn't even have to tell Lovable yourself. You could just tell Cowork, and everything you could do directly through Cowork, and it would just communicate with Lovable for you. So that was insane. Like, I didn't even have to go back and forth a lot of the time. And really, like, the biggest thing I've learned is that you are mostly bound online now by your creativity. So if I could have probably done this 2 years ago or a year ago and probably gotten away with the same results. I just didn't know that you could do it, and I wasn't aware that I possessed the ability to develop an app. But you really are just bound by your creativity, because there's so many things you could do. There's so many like light bulb moments that came through as I was building this that I was like, oh shit, we could add that, or we could add this, or we could do this. I wonder if this works. And it's just done instantly. Like, you're just like, holy shit, I didn't think that was possible. But I really enjoyed that process. So next thing up, like, let me see, hopefully, just want to double check that we're actually sharing our screen here. So we built the landing page, and now this is one thing that needs to be improved. Basically everything else was done, but the landing page I think looks great. However, I don't really like the copy on it. I think it could be improved. And if you've watched me for a while, you know that I'm a copywriter. So this is our landing page. Looks pretty sweet. What I mainly want to change is this headline. I would want to put this here, and I would just basically use this as an emotional hook. So this is fine. This ticks the boxes. It basically tells you the function of what the app does. However, it doesn't appeal to any emotion. So what is the actual selling point of our app? It's that anybody without a design skill, or who wants to, anybody without design skills who wants to make thumbnails faster and use high quality thumbnails that will get them more views can do it with our app. So their goal is get more views, improve their brand by having sick looking thumbnails and making themselves look better. So that's their goal, and the emotional side of that is the ego behind like yeah, my YouTube channel looks sick. Look at the thumbnails. Like everybody in online business that I've seen wants to kind of look like Iman Gadzhi or Alex Ramosi because their brand is so strong. And now you can kind of achieve that same level of quality with AI, simply with tools like this. And so if we can appeal to that with our headline, so basically what I was thinking was, you know, instantly grow your views or instantly sort of like I was also thinking of the angle like stop hindering your own video performance. Obviously a much simpler way to say that, like a better way to say that, I'm sure. But basically stop sabotaging yourself. Stop shooting yourself in the foot with bad thumbnails. Give your videos the views they deserve. Maybe I maybe just came up with that in the spot. Give your videos the views they deserve with perfect thumbnails every time. And then like the headline could be like, you know, instantly recreate thumbnails while our tool, no design skills needed. See how it works below. And then you see like this. So I was really impressed by this thing. This is like a little animation. Again, all I had to do was just type what I wanted, and it took a couple of runs. Like the initial thing wasn't as nice as this. It was just all appearing at once and stuff like that. But I just tweaked it and said, look, I want this to happen. And it just did it. So you don't even need to be technical. And then it created all of this stuff. Again, it all does the basics. Like it's perfectly fine. So you can have a look through this yourself. Obviously, I probably will change this in the next couple of days or whatever as I start to get more users. But here are the pricing. I decided to go for 19 a month for 30. So previously we had 100. And then I realized like there's probably not going to be any margin in this if I decided to promote this with affiliates or anything like that, because I'm gonna have to pay people to promote this thing for me, or I'm gonna have to promote it in my own videos. And even if me promoting it in my own videos kind of costs me money because I could promote something else there in place of it. But I reduced that as well, because I also think like no one's ever going to use 100. Like I wouldn't use 100. I've been using thumbnail tools for months, and I think the most I've hit is honestly like 45. Because like how many videos are you putting out really on YouTube? You're not going to be putting out like a video a day for the most part, and if you do, that's like one thumbnail per day. It's like 30, and then a few mistakes or like different ones. You know, you could have more. But I thought this was a good one. I'll probably change this over time, maybe add a little more if I feel people want it. But yeah, pricing works. If you click this, this will take you to, I actually can't show you the Stripe page because it's gonna like reveal my like email address and all that shit. But if you go there, it'll take you straight to a Stripe checkout. And once you pay the Stripe checkout, it will take you to a little login page. Again, I can show you all this stuff. It'll basically look like this. So, okay, so we're actually logged in already. But this is the app as well. So it's pretty much as you expect. Like it's got everything you need, and you can upload multiple face pictures, which is sick. And then it's got a prompt, and it's got multiple models. So I've taken out the OpenAI one that was previously in there, and these ones are here. Now I'm also thinking, like, I had a question from the first user, like, which one should I use for the best? And I kind of said like any one of them, any one of the Google ones is the best. And then this one's like a great backup. But the issue is I don't want them even having the question like, which one should I use? I should probably say recommended and then this one. You know what I mean? Because then that takes, I just want you to have an unbelievably fun experience using this app, and I don't want you to have any thinking at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Looks good. Everything works fine. And then I also built a creator guide as well here so that anybody can basically troubleshoot issues, because there absolutely undeniably will be issues with people getting rejected like recreations if they use the Google one, because it can't recreate every single thumbnail, but it can recreate the majority of them. So it's provided 3 different solutions. And again, all of this was done with Claude. Like I explained what the issue was and what the fixes are, and it did this, and then it added like tons of other stuff as well here. So this is pretty sick. And then I've built a little back to app thing. Now up in the corner, you can see credits here. You can see that it works. Like if I were to generate a thumbnail, it would deduct a credit here, which is perfect. Again, all done with Claude. You can buy more credits. So I asked it to build a couple. Like it's so sick, man. You can actually, if you set up a Stripe account, you can link it to Claude, and it'll tell you exactly how to do that and make sure that everything works just fine. And it will go in and build out like payment links, products, all that sort of stuff. So that's what all these things are. They're different products on Stripe that previously I would have had to spend like half an hour building all these out. So boring and technical, and it's one of those jobs that it makes you procrastinate doing work, and you just move slower because it's so boring to do. But now you can basically just say, hey, I want 4 of these. I didn't even know how much I wanted to charge for them. I just said, make a pricing structure that benefits them for buying more. So obviously, if you want people to buy more credits, you incentivize them by lowering the price per credit, etc. And so that's what it's done. It's basically worked all that out for me. It's compared it against what my subscription price is, and it's just so sick. So they can just go on here at any time. If they run out of credits, they can either upgrade and get more credits that way, or they can just buy credit packs and just, you know, tear away at those. So all of that is sick, and you can manage your billing. You can cancel up here. So again, I don't want to reveal my email address, but you can basically just cancel your subscription or change your card or anything. You can also reach your little creator guide up there. So the app works just fine. And let's see, what else do we have? So the video is promoting the app. So I want to get into the numbers here. I'll probably do that right now. But the video that I promoted the app in, so basically what I did, I think I've shown this earlier in the video, is that I told people to DM me on Instagram for the waitlist, and then I'll message them whenever the app is live. So what I did was I basically just posted a quick story, and I was like, hey, my app is live. If you want, you know, $5 off because you're an early bird, you can use this little coupon code. Again, Stripe made the code for me. And so we actually made our first sale, and I'll probably have clipped this in. Maybe I'll clip it in. I probably won't clip it in here, but I'll have clipped this in at some point to show you the reaction I got from my first sale. Because I thought it was insane. Like, I was just so hyped whenever I got my first sale. Like, I don't know why. It's like, obviously I've made money online and stuff like that, but just building a new business and doing something completely new to me and being like, 5 days ago, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. And then now someone's paying me for the thing that I've built. I think it's just such a great feeling. And I want you to have that feeling. Like, making your first sale of something like this is the best feeling of all time. So definitely go for it. Like, build something, even if you don't expect to make 100 grand a day from it. Just build something because it's really fun. I just want to double check I'm showing you the screen. Yeah, okay, sweet. So let's drag across here. So now I want to basically get into the numbers, how much it costs, etc. So we already have our expenses. There was one thing I wanted to show you. So this was a message from our first customer. So he actually didn't know, like he didn't get the coupon code or whatever. And he said that, you know, it's okay. Full price still feels cheap, which I'm happy with. Like, that's the perfect customer. Like Sean, if you're watching, this is a guy who's followed me for a couple of years, and so I was really happy. Like, just anyone bought it, to be honest. And Sean was like, I was buzzing. He actually enjoyed the process, and so even having a little bit of like magic, someone else is like buzzing that you've created a product, which is pretty cool. So I gave him some bonus credits as well. I just literally went into Lovable and was like, give this guy 20 credits and send him a little nice message next time he logs in. And so it did all that stuff, and I was just like blown away at how fun that was. So yeah, I will give you now the stats for everything. So expenses so far, I can update this now. So we actually I went and bought this. You wouldn't need to do this if you're not on as much of a time jump as I am, but I basically bought a few more credits on Lovable for like, let's say $20, because I ran out of credits trying to add everything. Now, because it was my first time doing this, I was obviously making mistakes, and Lovable bills you every time you're like speaking to the little chat bot. So going back on this, I would have basically saved a lot of time had I just planned it with Claude, or kind of knew what I was doing a bit more, to be honest. So I don't really care. I had to spend another $20 basically buying more credits from Lovable, just the way I charge our customers. So that was an expense that I had. You may need it if you build like a really complicated thing. But in general, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, our first sale has covered this extra expense, and then all we have to do is make back like what, like 50 odd bucks. So that's fine. I don't really care about that. Now let me just see if I can stretch this out. Okay, so variable. So this is still the variable. So our expenses are basically this. There's no more additional expenses. If you count Claude, now I pay for Claude. I guess you should probably count Claude. So it's like $100 a month. I pay for the max version for Claude. Now you could set it up once, but realistically, if you're building online businesses, you should be using Claude because it'll save you so much time. I don't know. I don't care how much money you have. Go work a job and like get money so you can buy this stuff, because it will just change your life. If you care about making money and starting a business and you actually want to escape the matrix, you should be using these things because they are like mind-blowingly fast and incredible, and there's so many unbelievable things you can do with them. And then yeah, so we've obviously set all this stuff up. We've changed this pricing. That is now 30. And then the other one was 29 for for 45. I don't need to write that out here. Then we had buy more thumbs, so I didn't know how much I was going to price this again. Like Claude did that for me. And so we obviously have our first sale. So where can I write this? Let me just delete this part. I'll just delete this. Okay, so sales, sorry, let's just do revenue is it was $29. I think you paid for the $29 version. Now, I have to say, I actually fumbled the bag because someone else went to buy the product as soon as it was live, and there was a coupon code, and it wasn't working on both products. I had only turned it on for the cheaper product because I was actually, like, I sort of limited myself because I said, okay, no one's going to pay for the higher price version. I don't know why. I just have such low expectations. It's probably from being in business for a while. If you have pure optimism, you have to have enough optimism to launch the thing and do everything well, but you also can't come in with the expectation that you're going to make money quickly, because then you're going to quit whenever it doesn't work. And that's what I see a lot of beginners sort of stumble with, is it's not working. They haven't done enough basically. And then they're kind of like, ah, shit, this, I was expecting to make $5,000 straight away here and it didn't work. Whereas I go into everything with like, I don't think this will make any money. Even making YouTube videos right now, I don't expect this to get any more any views. If this gets 1,000 views, I'm like, okay, it's just another video, like we'll just keep going. Because you have to condition yourself to lose, but you have to want to win, and you have to do everything in your power to win. So the guy basically texts me, okay, that was a bit of an emotional Michael Jordan speech there, but the guy texts me and he was like, yo, what's the $5 coupon isn't working. And then I got back to him and I said, I'm gonna fix this. At that point, you've lost the sale. Unless this guy is like dying to use the product, you've lost the sale. Because if there is a point of friction at the point of purchase, and the guy has time to think, oh shit, maybe I don't actually need this now, or maybe I don't want to buy it. And obviously that's just an emotional decision you make at the time. But I wish I had just built that right, because I could have had 2 sales. I could have had double the revenue, obviously, from our launch. But it is what it is. You learn these things. Like I just wanted to get this thing live. I prioritize speed. Doesn't really matter if I had taken an extra day and I had ironed out all those little creases, perfect. I might make an extra $20. But if I just get it out quickly, if I apply the approach of speed to the business, I'll make more money over time, because I'll be faster to go and promote it or reach out to affiliates or whatever I have to do to get sales on this thing. So I don't really care. It's fine. It's obviously a pain, but it is what it is. So that's our profit and loss so far. Like, we've obviously launched this. I launched this at like 11 p.m. at night, so I didn't expect to get any sales on the first launch, but I do expect more sales to come in over the coming days, and especially now I've updated the YouTube video that mentions it. I've updated that to have the actual the little link to buy the thing. So hopefully we get some more sales through that. Maybe if we make another video about this product, I will share updates on the sales, etc., etc. Because I don't really care. Like, it's this is not my main business or anything like that, but it was just really fun to build. Cost to build, that's basically everything. Like, I don't want to drag this out too much. So the video's done, everything's done. So takeaways, I pretty much shared most of the takeaways I have so far from building this. I'm just really, really, I don't know, happy. Like, I'm just so blown away that people will actually buy a product that you can build mostly with AI, and it doesn't feel like shit. So if I had built something that I felt was deceptive, or if I built something with AI that was like an information product, and I'm like, I'm going to teach you all this, and then AI just comes up with a lot of shit, and it's just like whatever AI's come up with, I would not feel good about selling that as a product, because it's kind of like you haven't actually, the person's trusting you with your information, and you've just outsourced that to AI. Whereas, like, there's no problem like telling AI all the information and having it format it nicely for you, and then selling that to someone else. But if it was a case of I'm just selling AI slop to you basically and taking your money, I wouldn't have liked that. And so with this, it's not. It's obviously like a functional thing you can do. And so yeah, I'd love to make more content on. Let me see if we can switch back here. So I'd love to make more content on basically like how I promote this product and how you can use this exact product to, like, it would be cool for me to get more sales on this product, would be to show you guys how to actually make money with selling thumbnails as a service. Because I think that, there's clearly money in it, because I speak to a client of mine at my other company for sort of helping YouTube channels grow, and he still pays $150 per thumbnail, and his thumbnails are fine. They're nothing special. And like when I showed him this tool, he was like, holy shit, this is like better than my thumbnail designer can do it. It's quicker. I have more control over the process, and it cost me less than less than 10p. I can get 10 of these for like £1. So there is serious demand. Like if you can do this shit and you can charge, like if you can just offer a couple for free, it's like you're not costing yourself $50 or $100 to do it. You're literally like, if you have 30 credits, let's say, and you send out 5 things and you're like, hey, I'll just send out 5 free thumbnails to YouTubers, like really high intent messages, so let them know, like don't like half-ass your outreach to them, and they see a sick thumbnail that you've made, then you can end up with a client there that pays you back, like for 1 credit, which would cost you like 60 pence or something in my app, you could basically make $100 client. And so you'd have no problem once you get your first sale in, or even just taking the risk on the first 30 credits that you send out or whatever, you'd have no problem just selling, just like sending out free ones. You know what I mean? And if I see people using that, to be honest, and I'm happy enough to like reduce the price of the credits or whatever, I was mainly just thinking about this. If I were ever to promote this, like there wasn't really any profit in it for me the previous way, and like given that like you could have other expenses with Lovable or anything else, like I was kind of like, oh shit, I should probably fix the pricing, because I realized that I based the pricing off what I saw some like young guy doing who had like basically no customers. When I looked at the more expensive offer, which was the Pixels one, they were charging at the prices roughly I'm charging at now, and I was like, oh shit, that makes more sense, because that business is actually making a lot more money. I can see why they have to charge that much. So yeah, like I'm not gonna be using this, like if I made $1,000 with this app in a month, I would be like, holy shit. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll keep this series going, and you'll see me selling this offer, and then you can get mad at me if I'm making too much profit off these credits. But hopefully it doesn't feel like that, because yeah, these at the minute we're still in the red with this app, but I think it just shows you how like you could easily make profit with an app like this if you just pushed it. So yeah, look, this is pretty much going to do the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll put another video up here that you can watch. If you want to subscribe, if you want coaching from me, hit down below, and yeah, have a good one.